should have with all the old people just around. So,
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Grand Rapids Public School regular board meeting on Monday, September 28th. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't sound like I can hear myself.
We're going to ask board members and others as you go to the microphone, because this is a different space, that you speak into the microphone, lean a little bit forward. So board members, as you speak, to make sure that your microphone is closer to your face.
I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to make this as loud as I can. We welcome and appreciate your presence at this meeting of the Grand Rapids Public School Board of Education. We respectfully request that you turn off your cellular phones and refrain from clapping, cheering, or making audible comments. We invite you to make formal public comment during either of the two designated times, which is regarding agenda items or non-agenda items, or if you would like, you can make comments at both. We ask that you fill out the comment card. When you complete the comment card, if it is regarding an agenda item, please state what agenda item that is on that comment card as well. And if you are a student, please make sure that you mark the red section at the top of the comment card so that we know that you are a student, and then we can prioritize your comments as well. Thank you, and all comments are limited to 3 minutes. Next, we have a call the roll.
Yes. Ms. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Eatman?
here.
Ms. Lewis is here. Ms. Melton?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Ms. Shockey?
Here.
Ms. Wade?
Present.
President Williams?
Present.
We have a quorum.
And we are asking for an amendment to this agenda. So I'm going to ask first if we could amend this agenda, and that is to include the conversations in a closed session with regards to a personnel matter. And so that is currently not on this agenda, and I am asking for a motion to amend this agenda to include that at the end of our agenda today.
A motion.
Support. Okay, Eatman and
Mr. Ross.
all right, Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Melton?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Shockey?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
President Williams?
Yes.
It is passed.
Okay. And then next we have celebrations.
All right, so good Monday afternoon, evening. I am going to invite our Director of Counselors, Mr. Emmanuel Armstrong, who also is our leader of our Student Scholar Advisory Council, forward to introduce our newest member of our student representative for the school board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, stop.
You got to lean in, I think.
Members, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
But I heard you tapping, which was strange.
Good evening.
Hey, here goes.
There it goes. All right, good evening. Welcome, and I'm here today to introduce our two new student representatives for the Board of Education for this calendar year. My name is Emmanuel Armstrong. I serve families and students as the Director of Counseling, and also had the pleasure of working with young scholars, like a few people we're going to introduce tonight. And so just a little bit of background is that they hold a position with the Superintendent Scholar Advisory, and it's a 2-year commitment. So Jayla Davis and Efren Calderon are two people that I'm going to read a quick bio and bring to you in their senior year, fulfilling their second year of a 2-year commitment. First off is Jayla Davis. She is not here, a little bit under the weather, which you always see her at the next meeting. She is a 12th grader at C.A. Frost Environmental Science High School. Jayla is a senior at C.A. Frost Middle High School. She has been part of the Frost family since 5th grade. She is hoping to attend Howard University or another HBCU institution. Jayla is exploring options upon graduating. However, she is interested in teaching. At Frost Middle High School, Jayla is a member of the Superintendent Scholar Advisory Council, and she's in her second year, as stated earlier, and coached the first Frost Middle High School cheer team. She is a multi-sport scholar athlete in volleyball and tennis for Union High School. When she isn't playing, she is assisting her mother in coaching as well. Jayla is involved in outside programs such as camp counseling at MLK Park during the summer, and was a Bible study leader and youth group leader at Tabernacle Church. She volunteers at River City Scholars Elementary School with her mom. And tonight, I introduce for the first time in her absence, Jayla Davis. Next is Efren Leon Calderon, student at City High Middle School. Efren is a senior at City High Middle. He started his time with GRPS while attending Burton Elementary. He then headed to the Northeast Side, where he attended the Center for Economicology in 6th grade and started at City in the 7th grade. Efren currently has a 4.3 weighted GPA. While unsure where he will be attending college after graduation, he is certain about where he wants to invest his time, as he does have a passion for entertaining. This passion has led him to want to further his education in areas of directing, writing, and various other elements in the performing arts. At City, Efren is a member of the Pegasi News Network, a news program that coincides with the school newspaper, The City Voice, a member of the City Ambassadors, and an actor that will be featured in City High's fall musical, Big Fish. Efren has been working in his spare time in order to save money to support his college venture. Efren is known in the city hallways as an outgoing senior that is willing to voice his opinions and speak on behalf of others. He is usually good for a laugh as well. So tonight, to the board, I introduce Efren Leon Calderon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Armstrong. And I will say both Efren and Jayla have been just powerful advocates around student-related issues, and I'm excited as they are leveling up to this next level to represent the student body as a whole. They have lots of valuable opinions, and I think that's always important, and we always want to empower student voice. And I had the privilege of seeing Efren this past spring in a play at City, and so he is a very well-rounded student, and I know that the board will enjoy getting to know both Efren and Jayla this school year. So we welcome you. I don't know, Efren, if you want to share something about yourself or.
Not much. Not much, just I'm happy to be here in general, and I'm glad to be able to voice my opinions, not just for me, but for other students as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And we are at our first opportunity for public comment. I want to make sure, Julie, do we have any other cards for non-agenda items?
We don't have any other scholars.
Okay. Well, I need to see if we have any for. This is our agenda items only.
Mr. President Williams, do you
Yes.
think any of these are here for a comment card? I don't know, they may not know,
Okay.
all these scholars.
And this is non-agenda. That's an agenda item. Dun, dun, dun. That was an agenda item.
This is the Eureka report.
Okay. All right, wonderful. I think I have these sorted out. First, we'll bring up Amelia McKee. She is a scholar who would like to address the board. And then in the wings, we will have Rebecca Keller. and Sarah Sachs-Smith, in that order. Thank you so much. She's gonna give you a little bit of instructions, and then you're free to start.
Off every time. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. You will need to state your full name before providing your comment. We will then start the timer at the beginning of your public comment time and provide you with a 1-minute notice by flagging the red card indicating that you have 1 minute left. You will need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of the appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing with us.
Hello, I am Amelia McKee. I am in the 5th grade, and this is my 3rd year at Brookside. When I first started at Brookside, I was nervous. I had been completely new to Michigan, to Grand Rapids, and to Brookside. One of the first things that I noticed about Brookside was the mood. It was happy and welcoming. It felt like they wanted me to be there, and were happy when I came, especially my principal. Ms. Wozniak was my favorite principal I've ever had. Honestly, she made that happy and welcoming mood. The mood that made me excited to go and learn at school. I loved school. Being in 5th grade, I didn't really want to leave Brookside. At the beginning of 5th grade, it was the same mood that I knew and loved. A couple of weeks after school started, going to soccer practice, my dad said he got an email that said Ms. Wozniak would not be our principal anymore. I did not like that. I really loved Ms. Wozniak being our principal. So I felt sad, yeah. And the next day, the mood was off. The teachers weren't as peppy as they used to be, and well, most of the students did not know. Me and my best friend both knew and were pretty sad. So, yeah, that's really all I had to say. Most of that I didn't write down, so.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comments. I noticed that we have quite a few scholars here tonight, and I want to invite any of them, if they wanted to make comment cards, if you would let someone know that you would like a comment card so we can make sure that we get you in the first set of comments. So we are currently in that comment period for scholars. So I appreciate you all being here, but I don't want to miss this opportunity. If you want to make comments, please get that card promptly. Rebecca Keller.
Hi, this is my first time talking at a board meeting, so do I go ahead and get started?
Yes, say your name and get right into your comments.
So my name is Rebecca Keller. I'm a mom to 4 children, 3 of whom are currently CA Frost scholars and 1 who's recently graduated. I'm also a licensed child care provider where I share many of my children and families with Grand Rapids Public Schools daily. Grand Rapids Public Schools is home to me as a parent, an alumni, and a community member. If my name sounds familiar to any of you, it's because on more than one occasion I've reached out to you as a board due to issues with Dean transportation. These issues are not isolated, and yet at every occurrence I'm treated as if they are. Over the past 2 years, the issue with safety as it pertains to the bus system have been unacceptable, to say the least. I'm well aware that these issues go far beyond myself and stretch much further than 2 years. I'm here tonight for some resolution. I don't need another apology. I don't need to hear about staffing issues. I've heard it over and over. And the issues for my own family have become even more dangerous. I need to know that you understand how serious of a condition our transportation is in, and I need to see steps to create and correct these issues. Busing issues for me personally are an everyday occurrence. And I have gotten to a point where my family is looking at what alternatives look like, and that includes leaving Grand Rapids Public Schools. We're scared to keep taking chances, and we don't feel heard. We're no longer able to continue accommodating these everyday issues. There's a growing group of families like my own who are asking you to help us in where to go with these issues. What are we going to do? How do we address these issues? We really continue to wait for answers. The risk to our children is too great. If Dean Transportation does not have adequate staffing or equipment to do the job we contracted them to do and cannot keep our children safe, then the answer is simple. We need to stop funding them to do so we can reimagine the system and what it may look like to find a new one.
1 minute.
There are solutions out there, but we can't keep allowing the system to run the way it does and not look at different solutions. I'm going to be quick because this goes far beyond 3 minutes. I take a chance every day putting my own children and other people's children on these buses. In this year alone, you have lost my 2 children, not you personally, but I feel it's your responsibility. My children have been lost and drove around this city for an hour not knowing where they were because they completely missed their bus stop. I've had a kindergartner dropped off at the wrong house where there was nobody home because he was put on the wrong bus. My children are late for school. They're spending 10.5 hours at school because the buses are running late, 10.5 hours, and then come home and need a meal and family time. They have homework to do, expected reading. We know how long our days are as adults. These are children. There's solutions out there. Let's work together to find them.
Ms. Sack-Smith, as you come up, I'm gonna ask, there's a Sherry Fitzpatrick and a Frederick Nixon Jr. Are you all scholars? Okay, I will add him with the scholars. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Sack-Smith. My husband and I proudly choose GRPS, and our boys attend C.A. Frost Elementary. I am also the PTA president. Let me start by saying I say yes to the bond. Our kids need it. I am here again representing those who can't speak up, those who don't know how, or who aren't able. This is my 4th public comment since February of this year, all connected to transportation, safety, and mental health. Air quality, teacher compensation, and school food also need to be named with a clear implementation plan and action. I learned in February that transportation has been a standing concern for a very long time. I am here again representing many voices when I say I am tired. When is it time to take action? I can tell you at least 5 families I know who have pulled their children from the bus due to unreliability. My boys ride the bus. I know families who have 0 alternative options. Our families have had to make plans. Our children deserve this basic right, and their mental health shouldn't continue to be affected. Stand up for these kids, please. Getting to and from should be the least of our concerns. None of what I'm saying is opinion, it's facts. If you're on Facebook or been around, you are familiar with the spreadsheet listing safe and reliable transportation concerns. How many will it take? SMART goals are simple. They're simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. As a former social worker in a program management position, I am well aware scores and SMART goals determine a lot. Plans sound good. Actions are not plans. They actually happen. Measurable and concrete specifics have been suggested many times before this year. On March 3rd, I requested a meeting for caregivers and parents. We needed plans of action moving forward. I begged for a meeting or even a Zoom call. I asked for Dean to be present, and I said I didn't know what to do anymore. And trust me, if I'm at a point where I'm saying I don't know where to turn, my resources have been exhausted. I was told March 3rd that my meeting request would be looked into. On April 11th, I emailed for an update and was told I would love to work with you on setting up a parent meeting. Dean is receptive to it, and I would be more than happy to get it going. I actually thought something was being scheduled. I emailed again on April 16th asking how I can help and looked forward to hearing more details. And again in May, I emailed asking for an update. The school year ended, another school year started. It's September. I have not been contacted. I'm still waiting. GRPS families are struggling and continuing to make adjustments and accommodations. A meeting is a plan, not an action. Results of that meeting are actions. I am more than happy to forward my unanswered emails if deemed necessary. I say yes to the bond, but yes to accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Jersey Brown. And on deck will be Kahari Caldwell. You can say your name and go ahead and start your comments.
My name is Jersey Brown, and what I wanted to talk about today was what happened to me and myself and players behind me, Coach Fellows. Basically, what I wanted to say was, I know that everybody in life, you know, growing up or children can make mistakes, and everybody can go about it different ways. But Coach Fellows to us was like more than like a coach or a friend. It was more than that. It was just a bond he had with us and the time we spent with him. And so like to us, it was just like when he came to Union, he was just more than just trying to like win games and have football players come in. He was trying to build something. Like he was trying to make us see something. He was trying to build something out of us. And like just going through that process, like he was there with us throughout that process. Everybody felt the spark and the energy, and it's like Coach Fellows was around. It was like a light over us in a way. If I don't want to sound like too out the way, but like in a way, when Coach Fellows is there, it was hope. But like now that Coach Fellows is gone, it's like I don't want to have to say this, but starting the energy's down, losing players. Not energy in practice. I know we 1-3, but I mean, win or lose, at the end of the day, it's just all he said was just have fun in the game, give it your all, and just play the game you love. That's all I have to say.
Next, we'll have Aiden Cannon. Next, no, sir, Mr. Kahari. No, that's you. I'm talking about who's next.
My name is Kahari Caldwell. I just want to say we miss our coach, and we want him back. He's like a father to all of us, like, and without him, it's like that missing piece, cause he just pieced everything together, and yeah, we just miss our coach. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. After Mr. Cannon, DJ Nixon, you're next.
Hello, I'm Adon Cannon. Today, I would like to talk about how my 5-year-old brother here was dropped off over a half a mile away from his original bus stop, like almost an hour late. The busing situation is just not okay at all. What is it? Dean Transportation has been failing over and over again, and no action has been in place to stop it or to help it at all. Like, something needs to change. What is it? Like, yeah, that's all I really gotta say.
Thank you. DJ Nixon, and then after him is a Robert L. Dietrich the fourth.
My name is DJ Nixon, and I'm here regarding Coach Fellows. As we all probably seen his incident that he had like 3-4 weeks ago. I'm just saying, Coach Fellows is more than a coach to us, and since he's been gone, it just feel off, way different. You know, and he always made sure we were all right. He always made sure we got what we needed. He fed us, you know, gave us rides. He did everything. It was way more than football, and I've been with him since I was 8 years old. So it's deeper than just football. You know, he's like another father figure to me. And, you know, he made no mistake, you know, not trying to just push that off, but I just feel like he should be let back coaching or just being around us or whatever, because without him, it does feel weird. Energy is down, and like Jersey said, he always told us just to have fun, and it's kind of like without him, the fun is missing, and we miss him, and we just want him back a lot. He keeps us on track, no matter, you know, and outside of football and school, he makes sure our grades are straight. He always takes us, make sure we're all right. You know, family situations, he always making sure we always know you're there. So hopefully we won't coach back, and hopefully you guys let him. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And Frederick Nixon Jr., you're up after Mr. Dietrich.
My name is Robbie Diedrich. I'm here to talk about Coach Fellows as well. Coach Fellows is like a lot of us who go to Union. We go to different schools and everything like that, and we like a family. Like outside our real families, we a family. Coach Fellows, he like made everybody feel welcome. We spend a lot of time together. We probably spend more time with football team than we do with a lot of our family. And Coach Fellows, like, he like the dad of us all. He makes sure everything going good. Texts us every day. We talk. Like, it's more than just about football and about winning games and all the other things. It's things we bring outside of football. Like, a lot of us been to his house, barbecues. We went camping with each other. Like, and then I think it's things he do behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. Of like, yeah, he made a mistake, but everybody in here probably done made a mistake before. And on our whole football team, I know somebody that Coach Fellows done changed their life in some type of way. Not even about football, just about outside things. If you want to talk to him, you could talk to him. Coach Fellows will help you in any way he can. And I've been knowing Coach Fellows since I was 5. So, like, seeing him going is like, a lot of us don't know nothing else because he been here with us for 4 years. And we see him every day. Since December, we've been seeing him every day. And him not being here is like, a lot of us is hurting. We just not talking about it. And we just miss our coach, and we want our coach back. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Nixon Jr.? That. Okay, so I did have to go. Okay, wonderful. All right, that is the end of the board agenda items only, or our scholar comments. So we'll go into our secretary's report.
Yes. There will be an academic committee meeting tomorrow in the board chambers at 4:30. And on Monday, September 25th, there will be a finance committee meeting in the board chambers at 4:30.
Okay. And we do not have any.
Sorry about that.
We do not
My
have
timer goes crazy.
any committee chair updates at this time, so we're going to have a conference report out. I'll let you begin, and then I'll make
Okay.
some closing comments.
Did you want me to start with music? No, it was really interesting because Dr. Lovelady Mitchell and I and President Williams were able to go to Chicago to take part in the Council of Urban Boards of Education conference. I was able to go to 4 different breakout sessions. I especially enjoyed the one on perception becoming reality. Basically, it was warning us as a board to get out in front of these problems that we have and make sure that that people know what's really going on and not just have an opportunity to make up their own realities. We also had a breakout session on teacher shortages. Unfortunately, they didn't have anything really to offer because everybody is facing the same issue. And the woman who was leading this was saying how few kids are going in to be teachers. And if there are fewer and fewer students in the College of Education, obviously there are going to be fewer and fewer teachers. And then the last one, and I really enjoyed this one, was called Data Collection. And it is a company that we can ask to come and do this for no cost at all. And they will collect data from our kids. They would do it when they were in the 6th, 8th, 6, 8, 10, maybe seniors. But basically the kinds of questions they would be asked are things that have more to do with their social and emotional needs rather than just their academic needs, although academics is a part of that as well. But it's a group that comes for free. It's all personal. Nobody is going to find out what anybody says on their form. We have to have parents agree to let the student take it. There are questions like, Is there someone in your life who would celebrate if you got an A in a class? Or are you feeling down and need a friend? Those kinds of things, so that we would know how the kids are feeling, and then we can disaggregate it in so many ways. We could do it by, obviously, by sex and by race, but one of the things they do is they suggested that you do it by schools and elementary schools and so on, so that you can find out where these issues are and where we need to spend our money and how we need to spend our money. So that was my observations.
Okay. And for me, I had the opportunity to attend several workshops and open sessions as well. There was a workshop and session called Radical Care, Leading for Justice in Urban Schools. And in that, the speaker name was Dr. Riviera, and she was really sharing some of her personal experiences as being an educator and how to kind of think outside of the box, and how we are should be trying to take care for our students when they are in our care, and how we can just make sure that when they come to our buildings, they know that they are cared for. There's at least one somebody that they know that they can go and share, so that, again, when something is wrong, there is an opportunity for them to connect with an adult who may be able to help facilitate them through a situation that may be difficult. I also had an opportunity to be in building healthy school environments that, again, strengthen the student well-being, and that was put on by Durham Public Schools, as they have been embarking on a journey to improve students' future outcomes by building strong emphasis on student well-being. And so they were sharing some of their experiences and some of the things that they are trying to do to, again, have action that will move toward healthy school culture, climate, and to further the mission of equity, excellence, and fulfillment. And then I'll share lastly about the keynote in the closing session happened to be hip-hop legend, icon, and rapper Ice-T. And
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
So since Siri didn't catch that, that was Ice-T. And actually, it was surprising to hear him come to advocate on behalf of students, and he had a focus in 3 particular areas. He wants public schools to focus on trades. He really spoke about the importance of trades and the opportunity for entrepreneurship there, as well as the how oftentimes that is something that is overlooked as a viable income base, when in fact it can very much be just that. Excuse me. He also spoke to us and advocated for support of the arts. He stated it was much of the work of an English teacher that showed him that he had the skills to be a great writer, and actually helped him as he became this hip-hop artist even early on. And then lastly, he spoke about athletics and the importance of having strong athletic programs, and how that was oftentimes the hook that kept kids in school and kept them coming back and kept them striving for better grades. And so as he spoke to this room of educators, he really was, again, imploring board members, school administrators to make sure that we are putting dollars in those areas, and that we are supporting those things. So I thought it was he was an interesting keynote, but with the perspective he shared from his personal experience, it made sense in the end. So I am grateful for the opportunity to go represent our district and gain some knowledge and some things for us to think about. I do have some other notes, and I'll be reaching out to my colleagues to kind of share some of the learnings that I picked up, and then see how some of this stuff can be applied here in Grand Rapids Public Schools to, again, further our district and make sure that we are growing and that we are trying to address the needs. And you know, there's more than one way to do it. So I'm open to look at some new and inventive ways and to be flexible. So I'll be sharing some of those things with everyone, including Dr. Roby. So I appreciate the opportunity. And then we'll go to our superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to begin with the introduction of new leadership for the 23-24 school year. One of them, if you recall, last board meeting on September 6th, I think the Tuesday following Labor Day, we omitted someone by mistake, and so I don't know if he's here in the audience. I do see him now. Mr. Charlie Lovelady, who is the new principal of Alger Middle School. So raise your hand. And then also Miss Christy Atwood, who is our new director of human resources, who began shortly after the new school year. And I don't know if I see Christy in the audience. Are you here? Can you wave your hand? Miss Lusk, is she here? Am I? All right.
Thank you.
And so we're looking forward to, as Christy is coming from a district a little further south of us. She has been a director of HR, and so now she will be coming to a larger system, and we are looking forward to her expertise. And Mr. Lovelady, who has been in our system for a couple of years as an assistant principal, and prior to that, he was in the Muskegon area as a building leader, and so we look forward to his leadership and are excited to have them both in these new roles. I'm going to invite up Mr. Kurt Johnson, our executive director, who is going to, it's feeling like fall, pumpkin lattes, cold weather, a little bit of frost. He's going to talk about the turkey trot. Y'all don't drink pumpkin lattes from Starbucks?
No.
No? Okay. Maybe it's just me.
I'm going to attempt to bother this audio visual. Is it here? Not here? May be loaded, may not be. Well, we'll move on anyway. Good evening, President Williams, Superintendent Dr. Roby, and distinguished board trustees. Yes, it is that time of the year, September, and you know what time it is. It's turkey trot time, so it's the time of the year we're going to kick off our big event for 2023. And again, Kurt Johnson, it will be Thursday, November 23rd this year down at the Van Andel Arena, where we will kick off the mini trot at 8:10 and the main race at 8:30. So we want everybody down there by 8 a.m. We want to thank you for allowing us to share some information about this year's event. It's a very special event that supports our scholar athletes and keeps them from having to pay for the sports that they participate in and that they love so much. The shirt color is going to be still a secret yet, and still. We had some slides to show you that we tried something different this year with a kickoff corporate partner breakfast that we thought went extremely well for our 31st annual Turkey Trot. So it was a partner kickoff breakfast. It was held last Wednesday, September 13th. We had guest speakers, Dr. Roby herself, Jeff Connolly from Blue Cross Blue Shield, Matt Cook from LMCU Credit Union, a very special guest keynote from Thomas Kelly, former Union High School graduate basketball standout, now on the coaching staff at Michigan State University basketball. We had our partners from Grand Rapids Public Schools Foundation, Stephanie Andrews and Holly Visser. So we had a great time there kicking off our message for Turkey Trot. It was really about, well, Thomas shared some inspiring words about how important athletics was to him and to some of his classmates as well as growing up here in Grand Rapids and being a part of Grand Rapids Public Schools. So he wants to really drive home that message around the importance of maintaining good athletic programming. We wanted to generate more interest in corporate giving and drive participation. So like our 30th anniversary that we celebrated last year, we would love for everyone who came to bring someone new who has never participated in the turkey trot this year. So the corporate challenges, they're going to challenge each other to drive participation and corporate giving, and then probably will actually be presented with a traveling trophy, and they'll have bragging rights for that particular year of winning that. So for the 31st annual, our goal is to have over 5,000 participants there. Right now, we have over 600 pre-registered, which is a little ahead of schedule. Normally around this time, we have about 200 or 300. So we have over 600 now. GRPS Foundation is well underway with fundraising. Holly has secured $71,500 on her way of her goal of $75,000 before the race even starts. So we're very excited about that. Blue Cross Blue Shield, Blue Care Network of West Michigan is returning as the presenting sponsor. Also, Lake Michigan Credit Union will serve as the sponsor for our mini trot. So then we have several other returning partners as well. This year, we also will have an honorary race director who will be one of our own. Bennett Anderson, you've heard his name a few times. There's actually a sign out from the Franklin campus and in front of his school with him. Bennett Anderson was a track star, city grad, track star at Ottawa Hills, who captured the Division I state title in the 1,600 meters. He also went on to be the Michigan's Gatorade Athlete of the Year for 2023. He competed nationally and internationally over the summer. He was ranked 4th in the 1,600 meter and 3,200 meter in the country, and then 8th in the 800 meter in the country. So he's going to join us on that morning and be a part of the race and really drive home his message as well that aligns with some of the scholar messages that you heard already this evening in terms of how they have been inspired by their coach, how they work hard because of their coach, and how their coach has really helped them to achieve the level of success that they're experiencing. So we're excited about having this honorary race director who will be one of our scholar athletes there. That's Benna. Well, thank you, sir. I wouldn't have dared touch this laptop because I would have messed something up. This year also, we have been able to navigate some of the downtown construction. If you've been down there lately, you'll know what I'm talking about. So we've landed on a course that's really favorable for walkers and runners. We're going to keep the finish line outside. We've been doing that ever since COVID hit. And so the course is very scenic and favorable for walkers and runners, so we're proud of that. We've also widened the start. So without any further delay, register now. Once again, we want to say thank you for allowing us to share this information. We still hold the title as the largest 5K on Thanksgiving Day morning for West Michigan. So register now while the pricing is favorable. It tends to increase as you get closer to race day. So we look forward to seeing the entire Grand Rapids community come out and join us for this very worthwhile cause. So as I always say, don't meet me there, beat me there. Register now. Thank you.
Questions that you might have for Mr. Johnson?
Who's gonna have the fastest board member time?
Tony gone.
That's
Tony's gone.
So somebody has to step up. Somebody has to step up.
Although Miss Davis is a runner too.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
there
right.
you go.
We'll be watching out.
Mr.
Thank you.
Eatman is also a runner. He is sitting there very quietly.
All right.
So-
We will time you and post your times. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's a lot of fun. My family and I, my husband and I have participated every year that we've been here, and it always feels really good. Afterwards, I don't feel guilty about that extra piece of peach cobbler that I might have later in the day. So next, and this is quite honestly a response, and I'm appreciative of Dean Transportation. They are going to come forward, Mr. Johnson, as well as Mr. Kelly Dean, to talk about Dean Transportation. There's some information that our community has asked for, and also kind of to share some meeting updates, to have conversations with families. I think it's really, really important that we are demonstrating to our community that we do hear you and we are being responsive to questions and concerns and also opportunities for that two-way dialogue. So if I can invite Mr. Kelly Dean forward, as well as Mr. Larry Johnson, and who, to come forward from Dean Transportation to talk about what's going on and what we can expect in the near future.
Good afternoon or good evening, President Williams, Dr. Roby, other board trustees. Again, you asked for a quarterly meeting with deans and have their team here represented at each one of our board member meetings. And our last meeting was on a Tuesday, and unfortunately, we've got a meeting crossed, and they didn't have a representative here because they thought, since we didn't have a meeting that Monday night, that we did not have a meeting that week. But they're here tonight to talk about some of the things that we've been in discussion with. We've clearly heard the challenges of our parents in this community. I've heard them loud and clear, almost nightly. I am aware of the Facebook page and have been in contact with an individual who identified himself as kind of one of the supporters or leaders of that group, and hopefully he's bringing that information back to the entire group. But tonight, Mr. Kelly Dean, Bruce Grant, and some of the members of the Lansing team are here tonight to talk about some of the things that we've been in discussion with here locally, as well as there in Lansing, to talk about how we can work with our families, listen to our families, and work toward an improvement of what has been some of the challenges for us over the last couple of years. So turn it over to Mr. Kelly Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Good evening, everyone. President Williams, Superintendent Roby, board members, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words here tonight. If I could just go back and have equal thanks for the invitation you provided to us on July 17th. That was, again, really the first time in many years that we had a chance to come and reintroduce ourselves and who we are and what we intend to do for the Grand Rapids Public Schools. And we felt very good about the opportunity to communicate. And tonight we also have looked forward to what the superintendent has asked us to present a quarterly update. And this quarterly update would be really after the first 3 weeks of school has started. And the first 3 weeks are always very robust, and so we have an update. But I need to just stop for just a minute. I've been the owner of this company for 35 years. My background is that as a teacher of special education, something that's very prideful for myself, and having to work with children in center programs like our great Lincoln Center here, Lincoln School, and that's very important. That's how I ended up in the school bus business, because I could see there was such a need for safety, for rules, regulations, and there's a lot about what we've done during this time. But to come here tonight and to hear two moms and a brother talk about challenges that they have faced, that doesn't make me feel good at all, and it tells me that there needs to be some updates. There need to be some support for them. There needs to be some changes. I would like to ask the two moms and the brother who presented tonight, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go to the back of the room, and I'd love to talk to you further about those concerns that you've had, so I can personally look into them more. We have 5,000 passengers every single day, and every single one of them is important to me. And I hope that means something, because that's important to me, how we drive the company, how we train, how we do all that we do. Overall, we have a positive update that we'd like to share with the board tonight. I said in July, the last 2.5 years, really being in the school bus business has not been fun. It has been challenging and difficult across the country. school bus drivers. It takes 6 weeks to train a school bus driver. We have to do all the proper background checks, from the FBI to all the criminal misconduct checks, everything that you would want us all to do, and then train them to become a driver. So it takes us 6 weeks. And we're doing some very unique things, and we have a very positive year going forward. But the last 2 years, Mr. Bruce Grant, our general manager, and all our office staff here have done some really challenging efforts every day with office staff driving buses, dispatchers, route planners driving buses, trainers driving buses to get kids to school, with the intention that we would get kids to school. We knew we were going to be late because we didn't have enough drivers. And other people haven't had enough drivers. The competition for good, solid individuals with good driving records and good background checks is a challenge. But we're here today, and we'll report that we have 30 people being interviewed and eight drivers being trained that will come out very soon to help us with the overall shortage that we need to get the proper bus runs up to where they should be. But again, I want to talk to the parents here tonight. I came, and if we didn't say much more tonight, this is the most important, because this is also a first. And I thank you, I thank Superintendent Roby and Mr. Larry Johnson for this opportunity. There are cards in the back of the room, and on October the 4th at 6:30 p.m., we're having an open parent-guardian citizen meeting. It's going to be at the GRPS University on Fuller Avenue. I'm sure everyone knows where that's at. But we're going to have an open meeting where we're going to have the dialogue. We're going to open a dialogue, and I'm going to be there to say we're looking forward to the next meeting, and making sure you know how you can contact Dean to get an answer when there is a concern. Because that seems to be a common theme, as if you can't get a hold of us, and that's really not true. We want to make sure we make it easier and easier as we go forward. We want to talk about here comes the bus app and how to sign up for it. We want to talk about further the training that our drivers and our attendants have. We want to just have an open dialogue. We want to hear what the concerns are. We want to change them, make them better. We want to have an action list of those things that we can make better. And by no means am I tonight here with any excuses. We want to have this open meeting October the 4th. It's 6:30 to 8 o'clock at the GRPS University. This is going to go on the district website. We're going to pass this word all that we can, and we're going to look forward to this great opportunity. I know I certainly am. So I appreciate the chance to announce that official meeting here tonight. With me, I have Bruce Grant to my left, who is our general manager here in Grand Rapids, a 30-year veteran of transportation, and is our leader. Brian Thrasher to my right is our vice president. He's our finance and operations coordinator. Has worked for me for 30 years. We appreciate these two gentlemen so very, very much. They've helped in design what we're going to have to offer here for the what we're calling the Scholar Transportation Update on October the 4th. So we appreciate it. Bruce would be the very best to add a little more about the additional staff and the training, the additional bus routes that we have to shorten riding time and to make things more accommodating. I would stop on my part just a second to say the Grand Rapids Public Schools is probably one of the most sophisticated, intricate school systems in the state of Michigan. With all the theme schools and all the opportunities that are offered, it takes quite a trick to be able to accommodate all of them, and certainly that was very difficult during the pandemic. We're coming out of it, and I'd like Bruce to just share his comments on how it started. Bruce, thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Roby, President Williams, Chairman Williams, and all the board members. Thank you again for allowing us to come in and speak to you all. There have been positive changes. excuse me. And we have like 8 drivers that are in training, but we've had a total of 5 drivers that are starting on runs. Last year, not this time, it was probably worse, but we had up to 14 runs that were going back late in order to get those students. And this year, we only had 2 tonight. And those have been the averages that we've been hitting since we started this program of getting more drivers in, getting them trained. And that 6 weeks, it sounds short, but it's a long journey. And we are still keeping those people in training, keeping them going, and keeping those buses moving, and getting the support from the other drivers, the drivers that have been there, the veteran drivers, because they are a very big part of this program as well. We have 4 people who are ready to test out as soon as we can get them scheduled, because the training entities are getting swamped with people now coming out of the woodworks to drive school buses. And then we have 4 people we're hoping that we can get going next week who will be training and testing out. And then we also, excuse me, have additional events that are open interviews where we're interviewing drivers and potential drivers on a regular basis that are scheduled throughout this upcoming year, so that way we can keep the number of people flowing and growing. They're coming out of the woodworks. Unfortunately, they were hiding, but they're coming our way now.
Bruce, thank you, thank you. Probably one of the most common questions that we have that I want to just have you answer that is that parents who have a question about their route, their pickup time, what's the best way for them to call our office, talk about that, and how they can, if they need to get you, when is the best time, and and also our overall commitment within 24 hours to get back to every single parent.
And that is true. That is our attempt to do that, to make sure that people know that we're there for them and their scholars. So we have made a commitment, and I talked to Mr. Johnson about it as well, to make sure that each night before we leave, we contact the parents. The hardest part of that is that we're on a bus too, making that commitment, so that way we can do our best to make sure that we're there too. But we still are getting there, getting those calls. The best time for us to be reached are between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. because they're dropping a route on my desk every day. And I got to get out there and get those kids delivered or picked up. So it's just those challenges, but those are the best times to reach us. And if we don't, we usually respond, we do our best to respond back that night, if not early the next morning when we come in off the road.
Thank you. So 9 to 2 is the very best time that you were able to answer their. Thank you. Can you add a little bit, because one of the areas that we really want to see grow is Here Comes the Bus. That's an app that parents can use that we can communicate. We believe it'd be the future. I know they can call the office to get directions as well as on the district website. Can you talk a little more about that, please?
Yes, because it is on the district website, and it talks about our whole phone system and how it's set up in order to accommodate the parents to be able to reach someone when it comes to Here Comes the Bus issues. And they are able to do that by calling the main transportation number, 819-3000, and hit option 2. And that will either get them a live person, or they can leave a message and someone will get back with them still that same day. So that way we can make sure that any questions that they have or any concerns, they're able to do and able to, get that information.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. I'd like to call upon Brian Thrasher, who, as I said earlier, is in charge of our finance and operations. Brian's been studying this startup that we have, and Bruce is saying we're we're much improved. When we get these additional drivers on the road, we will be in we'll be much better shape. We're looking forward to that. So Brian, would you share a little bit what you have discovered here?
Yes, like Kelly and Bruce, just like to, again, thank the board for giving this, give us this opportunity to present and engage and hopefully follow up in a meaningful way for additional questions that come up. As Bo shared as well, it's very troubling for all of us. I'm a parent and a grandparent, like probably most of the people in this room, and hearing those things, you know, the concern of a parent when they don't know when their child is, or a little brother, that strikes to our core, because I know how those things feel. It is a scary thing. And I think one of the things that, as we talk about this, that from our perspective, we really want to seize this opportunity to not just hear these concerns, but as one of the parents indicated, it's one thing to have a plan, it's another thing to execute and identify where can we tighten up if things are slipping through. This isn't FedEx. You know, as Kelly's alluded to many times, FedEx is a great company, but if you misdeliver a package, that is not the same as when you're looking for a missing child. Two totally different worlds. The thing that we felt, one of the things we thought could be meaningful just to share tonight as we start up this year, we find ourselves a month and we put together some data just this past week and really looked back. And one of the things that may not be apparent to everyone is our systems are connected. So by way of example, the student information system that supports the district is connected directly to our routing software. And so we have got live connectivity between ourselves and the district to try and provide the most accurate feedback back and forth that we can each and every day. And when you look back a month ago, about a week and a half before school started, this has been mid-August, we were at that time had 4,138 students and just under 9,500 rides, because each student obviously can utilize the system more than once. The average, for average Grand Rapids student uses the bus about 2.2 times. Sometimes it can be a shuttle midday, it might be an alternative pickup drop-off during the course of the week, but there's obviously a lot of uniqueness that goes into it. Interestingly, I think 10 days later, at the start of school, that number had changed by almost 600 adds and drops from the system. And by that fourth week, after 4 weeks into the system, as Kelly alluded to, we're up to, started pushing 5,000 students. We're up to 4,750 students, transporting 10,550 times each day. And when we look at that, the combinations of adds and drops told us, and this is one of the pieces we really want to double down on, is that there had been nearly 1,800 changes just in the first 4 weeks of school. So we went from, and we know that's not just us, we know that that's a challenge that the district faces as well. So whereas for the district, that's at the building level, for us, obviously, that's at the bus level, and sometimes one student may ride multiple buses depending on variances in morning and PM needs. But those, from our experience, tell us those 1,767 changes at the student level equate to almost 4,000 transport changes, meaning the unique needs that they might need Monday versus Tuesday or AM versus PM and all the variants that can come up. And interestingly, we tracked back, nearly 70% of those occurred after the start of the school year. So since the school year started, there have been just under 2,700 changes as of a week ago. And we're averaging 88 student changes a day and 196 transport changes every day since the first that first week in August, 4 weeks prior to the count. And we say that because as we talk about these experiences, the types of things that we really want to focus on and double down on is collaborating with both the district and parents, because we have worked hard in the past to have systems in place. We want to make sure that if there's anything that's broken in that system, by way of example, years ago we put together a wristband policy for kindergarten and first graders to really focus and bring emphasis to the younger student population. And we would do that for the first couple weeks of the year. And when we first launched, that was a very strict wristband policy. And I think one of the things we've talked about is if we've migrated from, solid has to be a wristband to now it's a backpack. Well, and if Brian doesn't have a backpack for a day, is there a chance that, there's an opportunity now for, if you're transporting nearly 11,000 times every day, and start multiplying that by 5 days a week and then 20, at some point you pretty quickly get to 250,000 transports in a month for serving the district, and it takes a very, very low error rate before something can go wrong, right? And so when we hear some of these things, we take that very seriously, because I think from our perspective, perhaps there's an opportunity here to look back again, sit down with elementary directors and make sure that we're all comfortable that the systems are strong enough in place, and that if changes are still to continue to come in, maybe in the 3rd and 4th week of the year, perhaps the system previously of the first couple weeks, that needs to be maybe considered at the 3rd and 4th week. Maybe it's that full first month, because we want to make sure that we've got systems in place that can help us collaboratively navigate this, these challenges. We know kids are gonna move, gonna shift schools. These things are part of our world, and we want to have a system in place to help us capture that together. The other pieces are that we know too that there can be a disparity in expectation in the context simply that when those changes are coming in, we knew right off the get-go, when we started analyzing the data, without even digging into the 2nd or 3rd transports that a student might have, that at a minimum, that with 43% of what we expected just a week and a half before school started having changed, that 60% of the runs were impacted by that. And so on one hand, you've got parents and families who probably haven't moved, and they've had what feels like stability in terms of enrollment for their child, the program that they're utilizing, the transportation, the bus stop. But on the flip side, it can be very challenging to separate that. One experience may be that nothing has changed, but when things on the route are changing to meet other needs, that there is a domino effect. And so we're respectful of that. And that's where we also want to look, and we think, maybe there's some additional ideas we can talk about in terms of, is there ways that we can enhance the registration process? Are there ways that we can better communicate that if certain information isn't provided to the district by a certain time, that there could be a challenge? And we recognize, we're not saying it just from our world. We recognize at the end of each day, these 200 changes, they weren't just hitting our bus drivers and our dispatchers, they were hitting the teachers, the building principals. I mean, every day lists are coming out, and we're providing lists to our staff and to school staff to know what bus do I take Brian out to? So that whether it's a little tyke with a wristband or a backpack band on, or a simple student list, there are so many changes occurring each day. We recognize the importance of not just the data, but understanding the timing of it, to know what the expectations are for who gets on what bus. But it also causes great pause, because loading this first month of the school, you think of the pressure points for the teachers and the principals and the drivers getting to know all these new faces, that really drags, extends the loading time. And the impact is twofold, right? This, as Kelly alluded to, it's a complex system. There are vehicles, there are buses that go out and sometimes serve 2, 3, or 4 schools or after-school programs. And when these loading times extend, we recognize that there's a domino effect. It can now affect multiple buildings, not just the one where the delay occurred. It also affects the technology, because our Here Comes the Bus application that the district committed to, which is fantastic technology, it feeds directly off of the routing software. So when we talk about nearly 4,000 changes in the first 20 days, that also means, and that was since before school started, 2/3 of those, remember, we're in 12 school days. But the routing software, the Here Comes the Bus application, feeds directly off the routing software. So if you have 4,000 changes in the routing software, you have 4,000 changes in Here Comes the Bus. And it is not predictive software. It can't anticipate that if daily changes with the goal the district has set to have students loaded, if all possible, within 3 days. It can't predict those types of things, the effect of delays at school. So those are some things we wanted to get out there and share, because we really think there's an opportunity as we get back together collaboratively to identify where are opportunities for us to revisit these, and are there things we want to tighten up together, because none of us want to experience these examples that were shared tonight.
Thank you, Brian. I think we can conclude that Bruce is very excited about the additional staff members that are coming in. At our July 17th meeting, reported that these individuals receive 150 to 200 hours mandatory training from Dean. That some of that's ongoing, and there is more to come. I'd like to just say again to conclude that parents that are here tonight or anyone else, I'd like to go to the back of the room and get to know you better, either set up a time to hear more about what concerns you have, but then also maybe it's more convenient on October the 4th, 6:30 at the GRPS University to have an open dialogue. And I'm hoping that will be the first of many meetings that we can have, that we can be able to address the concerns that are out there. Again, we're concerned about every single passenger. We're not hauling boxes. We have very special commodity. It's very important, and we hope that every single one of our rides go well. We want to be available when there are challenges, concerns, questions, riding time, driver issues. We want to be responsive, and we're sorry for those that apparently were not handled properly or the way that it was felt, but we'd like to talk about them and see how we can make change. We're very honored to serve the Grand Rapids Public Schools. Come tonight with the agenda. We're all in to help the passing of the bond all we can. We're one of those sponsors on the turkey trot, and we also are, always want to help the foundation, those things above and beyond what our primary duty is, that to serve the transportation needs of the district. So I will stop right there after saying thank you for having us this evening, and just like to ask if there's any questions this evening.
Okay, so I know my colleagues got some questions, so in fairness, I am going to kind of call and allow, if we can go maybe 2 questions at a time and then come back around if it's more, because I'm guessing there's some questions. So actually, I'm going to start with our student rep. I'd like to hear your voice, Mr. Calderon. Is there a comment that you would like to make?
Of course, Of course, as a student, I've personally been using Dean Transportation before. I've done it with just middle school, going from school to other schools. I've had issues with also transportation, getting late, or frequent bus changes. My only question currently would be with your new mobile app. You said it is used for parents, but as you have already stated, it is also not as, it's not able to pick up changes as quickly as other sources of communication. Would you be putting time or money into the app to fix that issue so parents are able to quickly and efficiently be able to tell that the routes are being changed, and that if they need to find a different form of transportation for their student, or if their child is going to be at the place they're being dropped at on time? Or will you just be looking into other methods of changing the app to more efficiently show the data that is changing?
Thank you. That's a great question. I'm going to ask Brian to tell you the technology. Here Comes the Bus, we believe, is state-of-the-art in the nation. Our routing system we have is called VersaTrans. That also is state-of-the-art. It ties in with the district. We have a really great opportunity to exchange information all the way around. There are, of the 5,000 passengers out there right now, I can tell you that there is about 700 families that are using the Here Comes That. So we want to promote it. We want to encourage people to use it, because it will. The first couple weeks of school with all these changes, that's difficult for the app and all of us to keep up with that. So that now is smoothing out here after 3 weeks. So Brian, thank you.
No, and thank you. I mean, that's a great question, because I think from our perspective, that is the direction you're seeing each of these technology providers going, where our goal is to, on one hand, you want to provide flexible and multiple ways to communicate, but on the flip side, too many can become cumbersome and hard for folks to track. And so from our perspective, as Kelly alluded to, the education process out there, and to continue to improve understanding of utilization of Here Comes the Bus, to tap into the messaging, to act as a complement to the system. It can work really well when the school year's up and running for runs that are clicking away on time. But if you have a hiccup or a loading or a challenge along the way, that's where I think, to your point, when something's gone wrong along the route, that's where we see it as an opportunity to enhance the communication and take advantage of some of those additional in-app communications, as well as still partnering with the district. So if there's tools that the district wants to be integral for parents, whether it's robocalls or text system, to tap those as well, so that we're picking one or two primary ways of communication to make it easier for parents and students to be on the same page.
That's all for me. I'll just pass it on to the next board member.
Alrighty. Ms. Wade?
Can you share how many drivers you need to effectively get all of our kids to and from school? Like how many positions are open to be filled?
We, at this time, we still have 25 positions bus runs that still need to be filled. And right now, that's where we're using the office staff. Anybody that's certified and ready to go, excuse me, we're using our sub drivers. We have 10 of those. And that's why our numbers have decreased, because those extra people are in there helping to get those runs covered.
That's the only question I had.
Ms. Davis?
Are we currently doing anything to incentivize the bus drivers that are doing a great job and have been with us, incentivize them staying? And then what types of things are we doing to recruit good bus drivers to our district?
That's a great question, and I would like to respectfully just refer you back to a handout that we brought on in July, where we talked about probably our most successful online service is Indeed. We're using Facebook. We're using radio advertisements. We're doing radio, newspapers. Internally, our drivers are incentivized that they can be awarded $750 for every recruit that comes in who qualifies, and we hire them. And the recruit also gets $750. So we found that very successful. As I said, we had just recently had open houses and job fairs where we had nearly 37 applicants come in. Things changed this past June. Can't tell you, because it really is different than what the federal government has been talking about jobs. We have just got a great influx across the company of good people that qualify. Again, it takes us, for every 100 applicants that we get in, only 10 qualify. Only 10 qualify. That means they can't pass their driving. During the pandemic, we didn't change our hiring standards. We always are looking for the top people. They have to have good driving records. They have to have a perfect criminal background check. They have to pass the FBI fingerprint check, and then everything else. So that handout, we'll make sure that we get back. And then our meeting on the 4th, we're going to review that again. So we have a lot of incentives for folks, and we've raised our starting wages. We're competitive with everyone in Kent County, and we're actually considering maybe even going more. It's been very expensive for us as a business, and again, it is the losses that we had were pandemic related. A lot of retirements, and folks that just really had to stay home to take care of family members, and it just really hit us hard. As again, it takes us 100 applicants to find 10, but it also takes us then 6 weeks to hire someone. So that's the challenge, that a person can go and get a job at Home Depot or a lot of other places and start that same day or next week, where it's going to take us 6 weeks to get them all through, plus a physical exam, all the things that you would want us to do, we're doing.
And then the other just thought that I'm having, and it doesn't necessarily need to be answered tonight, but just in talking about all of the changes that occur at the beginning of the school year,
As we move forward, I'd be interested in hearing what your thoughts are, what your plan is moving forward. If there's anything that maybe we can do to push back prior to school starting? Are these changes things that we have no control over, or is there something we can do to be proactive to communicate with families to make sure that we don't have as many changes once school starts, so that there's more solidification in what families need and what they're expecting from us prior to the start of school? Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, that would be a decision within the district, and that would be an operational change at the start of the year. And we have many other districts that do it different ways. It's just, the example here is that so much as goes on the first 3 weeks for us to get settled into what a bus route really is going to look like for the remainder of the year.
Okay. Mr. Eatman.
Yes, thank you for presenting and the team presenting today. My first question for you is the app that you spoke about, is that a one-way communication, or will the parents have an opportunity to also, or let's say scholars, I'm still left here or I haven't been picked up, is that gonna be is there a two-way form of communication that's already established in this app that's just not activated, or will that be, like, what is the communication terms of that?
The current deployment is a one-way communication piece, but to your point, I think from our perspective, that's where we see the potential for some of this stuff to grow. We're still relying on email, calls back to the office, but let me follow up on that too, to get tied into their app development team, just to see, to your point, where there are opportunities there and what they see as that next viable step, because we certainly look at it as a way to enhance the communication beyond just the when to expect the bus to get here, more proactively using as a messaging system. But to your point, let me follow up on that.
Because typically, if it even is a way for it to go back, then it does allow there to be geo-tracking, which most phones already have it. So if there was a, let's say, Miss Scholar or something where a scholar is able to text back, you would be able to GPS where that scholar is and their distress call. So I definitely would recommend looking into that. My second one will be transportation has been an issue, not just locally, but in other cities as well. And one of the things that I've seen other cities kind of collaborate with was other busing partners. And so this question resounds around, is there a current partnership that you guys are exploring with the Rapid, with their part-time drivers to help increase that, since they already have the actual licensing that's required to operate such a vehicle, which could reduce the time that you would need to train them for 6 weeks? I'm just looking for what innovative ways are you looking at or are exploring with partners in the community that already want to help and serve?
We do have partners like that, where people are working for Dean and then they're also driving for other entities. The biggest challenge with that is the requirements that the feds put on us, that you have to have a school bus endorsement, passenger endorsement, these different endorsements. That makes a difference. So now a driver coming in with just a CDL, BP, now we got to throw that S in there on them, because that's a state mandated requirement. So now they start like from scratch. And that's the sad part, but that's the fact of it. And that's the requirement. So, but we do have people who are doing that. We have truck drivers, we have everybody. But they have to start, and they have to have all the endorsements.
So if they have all the previous endorsements except for that S1, then they have to start over from the 6-week course to go through? They couldn't take that particular, oh wow.
No, sir.
Okay.
And that's a state mandated requirement.
Okay.
And I'm a victim of that.
The other partnership that we feel has been successful, and it could be challenging in a system where there are multiple tiers of buses in and out serving multiple schools, but we have found a success at this time, so also being able to support some of our ISDs or perhaps some of the summer programs. And if we've got single tier bus runs out there that maybe are serving an elementary school, one of the things we found, for example, is if a district or one of our partners perhaps had a call-ins for parapros, or if they're short-staffed, we've trained our staff and have provided drivers and/or our own bus monitors and bus aides to also support our districts by supporting them in the classroom and/or in the cafeteria in other ways. So we think even outside of, behind the wheel, perhaps there's opportunities, because we also have a team of people who've obviously met all the district background check requirements, are trained, are there to understand, know the kids at that level. And if there's ways that we can find collaborations to help support you in the classroom, the cafeteria, the playground, that we'd welcome that opportunity as well.
Mr. Ross?
I guess the only question or comment, I know the logistic is a challenge, but I'm concerned about, I guess, safety during the actual transport. I know, like you said, on some buses we have bus monitor, bus aides. I don't know if that's all, but I guess just maybe a little bit more on how do we determine where we do place whatever limited number of bus aides or monitors we do have to help with the actual culture on the bus during transport.
Well, all our monitors are based on, the bus attendants and the bus monitors are based on student IEPs. Unless we get a bus that's just so out of hand that one of the EDs or somebody higher up says, we need another body on that bus, because that's gotta be accounted for too. And that's the hard part. We don't have monitors and bus support and helpers on our gen ed buses, unfortunately.
Ms. Downs Lewis?
No.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, thank you for being here and for presenting to us again. So, as a former GRPS employee myself, I have had my share of frustrations with doing transportation, of course. I really did like what you had to present to us in July, and so just to hear the discrepancy for saying we have 25 positions that need to be filled. I was under the impression that we had everything ready to go over the summer, and so I'm just wondering if you could speak on that a little bit from our summer presentation to now.
I'll let you talk about the new folks there. Bruce presented that overall, to get us back to where we were even before the pandemic, that's how many total staff that we would need here. But they're being covered right now by subs. There are 10 subs that are available, office staff, others that are getting us to literally completing all the bus runs you have right now are all covered by CDL drivers. And then the additional drivers are coming out of training right now. They're completing their 6 weeks, and there are, he had the update from today, 8.
Right, we have eight folks that are coming out of the woodworks now, but when we met in July, those numbers were based on, we didn't really have the total required numbers that we needed from the district yet. So that way, we didn't know how many students that were going to need busing, and then as we started through the process, then we find out that, because last year this time, we have 39, 40 runs that were uncovered. This year, we started with, we're down to 25 now. So there has been pluses made, but it's that process, getting through that process. We didn't mean to mislead you or anything. We just let you know that it's that road that we showed in July, that we're on that road, but it's getting us to the end of that road to continue to grow those numbers of drivers.
I think too, the other, probably apologize, another important clarifier to your point is also that our goal is, of course, and when we talk about these numbers, is to not to count on anyone who's in the office being out on the road. So we're looking at staffing up to the point where it's not just the run drivers, it's all the sub drivers that we'd have ideally, so that any leaves. We're looking for the system stability, of course, so that just even when you have a rash, when the flu goes through the community, in the dead of winter, that we can withstand that without any disruption or any late buses. I mean, we know inclement weather will slow down buses, slow roads, slow buses, right? But we do not want staffing to be that point, or conversely, beyond that, even, you know, peak sports periods. So we get certain weeks of the year or certain times of the year in May when we know that there's going to be a big push with teams and needs that conflict with to and from school transportation. That's really, when we speak about these goals, we're looking at how many runs would we ideally like to add back, and how do we want to ensure that we're sub-covered, versus what we don't want to be in this position of is we've got enough to get through it, we can cover it, but there's no margin for error.
So I just want to kind of piggyback off of Jose's question, just a point of clarification. I think kind of what he was saying, I think in July we were told that there were about 5 or 6 spots that were left to be filled, and then now we're hearing that there might be as many 25 routes set. So is there a difference in what we were told then and now, and why is that? So was that a driver difference, or was that a route difference? Because I felt like it was more of a conversation about how many more people that was needed to be hired was about 5 or 6. So then if we are here now and did you not hire the 5 or 6, or did people decide not to come on board? Kind of an explanation as to why that didn't happen to where we are now, if that makes sense.
No, I think it does. We'd be happy if we can get back. We can go back and pull our July summary and build a new one so that it's apples to apples. Because even this past week, we added 2 more runs this past week. Bruce has got another one starting this Wednesday. And as we've updated our targets, we are wanting to update for an idealized target level of a higher level of runs overall than what we were even looking at in July. So I mean, our thought is that we're moving the goalposts farther on our end and stretching, I guess, ourselves further in terms of creating a greater coverage overlap even than previously, because we don't want to be this tight. We're seeing leave rates hitting this fall. Obviously, we've heard, you know, some of the bugs that have started going around even this past week. Some of the after the first couple weeks of the year, we could see elevated absenteeism with some of the bugs going through the community. So our goal is to build beyond that and just keep going.
So to your report, though, if you could clarify and make it similar. So if we're talking people, let's talk people. If we're talking routes, let's talk routes, and maybe ideally talk both. So then that way we're clear. You need this many people to cover this many routes per se.
And you're absolutely right. And those are factors that have to be measured in there, because we also have an increased enrollment. And those numbers are adding to the bus routes. And so once that happens, then we take any school and they start off with 3 buses, and then those numbers of McKinney-Vento students or the regular students get added into that. Now we may need another bus or whatever. That means we need another body. So
For point of clarification, McKinney-Vento is our students who have been identified as homeless, highly mobile. I know in education we use a lot of terms, and so I want to make sure that people understand what McKinney-Vento is.
Thank you.
I just have one follow-up to the question as well. So I understand, you know, you said you added 600 more students into your system. That equals 4,700 rides. 10 days after, you know, you thought that you already had it all figured out. Is that not something that happens every year that you would have to account for? Because, and I only speak for myself, you know, you did mention, like, we didn't mean to mislead you. I do feel like I was a little misled over the summer, because I want your success, I want our success. Student transportation matters. To hear, you know, students being late by over 2 hours is just unacceptable. And so I was under the impression that it was gonna be a great start to the year, but I also feel like that should have been taken into account as years prior. I'm sure something similar has happened, but if not, could you clarify that for me?
Yes, absolutely. So is a clarifier. So the net increase was a little over 600. What really drives the changes, however, was that to get to that net 600, we saw about just under 600 drop out of the system, and then just under 1,200 add back into the system. So that's really what's driving the day-to-day changes, is that it's a 1,800 total changes that netted out to
Is
those
that rare?
600. What's that?
Is that rare for that to happen year to year?
I think that from our perspective, it's not that it's rare. I think we would have looked at historically and anticipated maybe 25 to 30%. So I think at 43%, it does feel like there's an uptick. And we say that recognizing that that's a challenge that the district is facing as well. Obviously, it's the district student information system that's feeding through to transportation. So I think that one of the things that we felt good about was that when we were looking at how many of the solutions had not been resolved by the end of the day, those numbers sometimes were as low as 2 to 5 out of all of those changes that were coming through. And I think in one day, I think the high point was about 30. So meaning at the end of the day, there were still 30 transportation requests. It might have represented 10 or 15 students perhaps, but the routers were going home still trying to figure out how am I going to solve this problem. The challenge becomes putting those changes in. When you're averaging 200 changes every day, other families, other people are being impacted. So you can keep up with it, and that's what the team, Bruce's team, to their credit, they're crunching through literally hundreds of these changes, but crunching through them doesn't change the fact that it is impacting, those runs and the times that others are expecting. It's impacting the lists as teachers and principals are learning which students come out to which bus, because maybe the day before we went to one bus and now today we're going to a different one. Students are learning that bus. Drivers are now learning students, again, for the first time. So I think that process, you're right, it is a natural part of the process that plays out those first few weeks, but it's also, there is a natural disruption that occurs because it slows the loading at the schools. It's just that slowdown is something that is kind of hard to anticipate because we know the building times can't be set around that learning curve the first 3 or 4 weeks. So really, it's to someone else's point, you're setting up the system for what you want it to look like. But as everyone is going through this collective learning curve, especially at the start of the year, those times aren't going to match.
Ms. Shockey?
I think a comment and then a question. We have just really lost the trust of our families, and regaining that trust in transportation is going to be a marathon. And so I do hope that you're in it for the marathon with us. And I'm grateful that you're here. It's the first time, short of this summer, in my time on the board that I remember this. So I am grateful for that. My question is not on the same vein, but what is one best practice from another district that you would like to see GRPS implement?
I'm sorry, would you?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. What is one best practice from one best practice from another partner district that you would like to see GRPS implement?
Well, one that I believe that we're implementing is the technology related to the Here Come the Bus, better direct communication with parents so that they will, this system has, the ability obviously to know where the bus is at so parents can contact them. We also have the potential to expand the services Brian said earlier. So those are, that is the technology. We think that we're ahead of most districts in the area of technology, as well as routing, as well as hiring practices. We may be overall in better shape than many, many other school districts related to hiring and staffing. So those are the most important. As I said, we've kind of led the industry in many things. One area to mention, we had a couple of questions recently about use of red flashing lights out in the community. Well, I helped be part of the state police task force to write the laws, and frankly, we're working with U.S. Senator Gary Peters right now to eradicate vehicles passing our red lights when they're activated on the road. It's epidemic across the nation, and we're the little leader here from the state of Michigan helping to push that forward. So those are related, and we share those with our other districts as well, because we're all in the job of safety for kids.
Ms. Melton?
No questions.
Okay, so I have a question with regards to the changes in the process. So if you can maybe share with us what the processing time and processing, what the procedures are to process a change. So it might help us better understand. If I change a child's bus route today, to understand how quickly that will go into effect. And then what is it that you do on your end or that we do at the district level to help facilitate that change?
The process of, upon a student being enrolled into Dean and they are into GRPS and they want to request transportation, it takes 3 to 5 days in order to make that happen because of just all the changes that have to be looked at into a route and everything and to get them set up safely. That's what the routers are back there doing. And that's just the way that system is set up. Again, I know that when the enrollment period, which it pretty much never ends. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, those changes are happening all the time, pretty much on a daily basis. And then we have to let those folks know it's not gonna be overnight. We have to work this thing out because people do have to be notified that these things are going on. So it's just how the process is.
So are you saying that per every change a family makes, there is a 3 to 5 day period where that child may not be able to get busing? So for instance, if I sign my child up for busing for pickup at my house and then a drop off at the daycare center for after school care, I don't even know if that's possible. But if that is the case, then if I change from the daycare to my mother's house, then now there's a 3 to 5 day window before that change could take place for that period.
You are correct.
Okay.
I think it's important that we figure out a way to communicate that to families because that's typical and with many of our young people, there may be those types of changes or when young people may have various schedules where they live between two different adults to have that, to make sure that that's communicated to families. The other thing is that we can do as a district from as far as processes is to ensure a more vocal or more prevalent Here Comes the Bus app campaign, because I think that will assist in making sure that people are aware of what that is, because I think I heard about 5,000 riders, but only about 700 folks that use it, which is a very small percentage, and that may help with some of the concerns or questions. The last thing that I want to point out as well is as far as feedback and other opportunities we do have, and I know that the Dean Transportation team has flyers that will make sure that those who are here tonight get those, and then also that we'll put it on the district website so that there is an opportunity to engage for feedback and also suggestions, because we want to make sure that we improve support services, not only through the technical, but then also that personal, as families have shared some of their concerns.
I do have one last question. So I've heard a lot of communication from you with regards to the area of increasing personnel. I would like to know what action is, what actions are you currently considering besides that to address the issues with us?
Well, we're continuing a full recruitment process with job fairs. This last week we had open interviews and we had 7 people come in and I believe 6 qualified. We're continuing to build up, so we are interviewing right now nearly 30 people to continue to, because one of the areas we talked about is trying to cover all the existing runs. We plan to be back to pre-pandemic standards which will be having all of our subs not assigned to a bus run, but they're there for the folks that have to call in sick or have a doctor's appointment or have a family matter, so that we can cover those runs. Our challenge right now is that we don't have those extra board staff people to help us. So that is part of those numbers that we need to continue to work towards. I'm very encouraged about the number of people that are coming out to apply. We are paying, we believe, the close to the highest level of standard of pay per person in the county. We established a very unique opportunity for folks that it was a process for us to develop what we call our A and a B plan. A person can come and basically take less benefit opportunities, because I offer a full rounded benefit plan for, which is dental, optical, health, 401k. I call it a well-rounded plan for an individual to come work for us. But if they so choose to defer some of that, they can take a higher per hour rate of pay. And many of them have chosen to do that, and that has truly been an incentive for retention. Retention right now is very important to us. We spend about $5,000 training someone. And when they leave, that's just goes right out the door, as they say. And so we're working diligently and monitoring other rates of pay. It's a very competitive world out there for us right now.
So I guess I think maybe my question was misunderstood. What besides personnel? I get there's a whole push to increase personnel, but what other actions do you have in the hopper to address the concerns that are coming from our parents? So what else can you do besides get more people?
Well, if I understand correct, we're looking at additional small van service here within the community to help us to address some of those smaller bus runs, or particularly the McKinney-Vento process where we have to go outside the district for a few students to come in. So we're working on those. Like other things in the world, there's a supply chain issue in getting those vehicles, but we have nearly 20 that we're trying to get right now that'll be deployed throughout our company, and several of them will be here to help. Every one that we can deploy will help us to relieve a CDL driver to be put on a bus. That vehicle can be driven by a person with a chauffeured license. So we don't have technically the 6 weeks. They have all the dean training, but we don't have, we have all the dean training, but they don't require a chauffeur license, a CDL, they require a chauffeur license. So those are probably two of the most significant matters that we're looking at right now. We always, as a company, are trying to show our appreciation, and we have regular employee gatherings for thank yous and appreciation for the hard work that the majority of the staff has put in over the last couple of years in particular. They literally have had double duty.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, I'm gonna go around again. I see Ms. Wade.
Yeah. So I just want to know, because President Williams brought up the other things to address with of other parent complaints. Is there a survey out that the parents can take, or whether our families, our district staff, dean staff, that you guys can create to help you understand better what people are really experiencing? I know we hear it and hear the different stories, but just making sure that while you guys are working on improving, you're actually hearing the stories of our families in our district, so that things can be addressed that need to be addressed, not what you think, because it, like Kim insinuated, it was more than just a staffing issue. What's happening when our kids are on those buses? How are they experiencing their bus ride? How are they getting lost? Things like that. Those are the things that we want to see captured from you all. And I don't know if I even have the right to say this. I'd like to see a report and to see how you guys capture that feedback and maybe a plan and how you address it going forward.
Very good, thank you, thank you. If I may suggest, that may be a very good topic to bring to our October meeting here, where we could have a professional survey available and have, and make sure we seek all the input. We certainly would like to have that, thank you.
Mr. Eatman? I didn't see Ms. Davis' hand.
All right, so earlier I mentioned about the suggestion around the app and making that a two-way thing, and it seems like there'll be some logistical things that you guys need to iron out regarding that. Is there a dashboard perhaps that could be created on your website so that way if parents and or scholars could see that a route or their route or a bus route is running behind, that they can make real-time decisions before a parent leaves to go to work thinking that their child is going to get picked up? How can we anticipate the communication of delays or allowing people to actually have the autonomy to exercise their autonomy to make that decision on their own? So is there a way that you guys can create some form of a dashboard that lives on your website that talks about, oh, route such and such is running 10, 15, 20, 30, 2 hours behind? That way they in real time can make decisions on how they need to adjust and or perhaps not take the deemed transportation for that particular day. How is that possible, or is that possible?
Yeah, again, I think we have the opportunity to follow up with the tech team to see if there's a mechanism by which, for example, the Here Comes the Bus, those built-in APIs that exist between that technology as well as Versatrans, and it's also tied into Zonar. Each of the vehicles have the Zonar GPS system on the bus. It's kind of like an air traffic control, right? You're watching the fleet move, and those three pieces collaboratively come together to communicate expectation, right? So to your point, let me follow up on that and see if there's a mechanism by which we would be able to access their API and utilize it outside of just that app environment.
I think the public facing of that will be critical, and for people to really take those decisions, because you're already collecting the data. You're
Right.
already getting that, and it's coming back to you guys from the hub, whatever your hub is, that allows you to know when bus drivers are behind. So that can be easily translated to the parents in the district to let them know. That also informs the district and this district staff, teachers, about anticipating where a student is versus adding stress to a parent phone call that their child hasn't arrived. So I think there's just multiple ways that I'm looking at one thread that seems to be tangled, and that's one way to one of the many threads that can be unraveled that can alleviate some stress across the board, not just for parents and scholars, but also for district staff who's anticipating that student being in the classroom.
Right.
Anyone else on this side? Okay, I
just have just one more quick question. I know we've been at this for a long time, I apologize. So I know that federally, you cannot hire someone with, you do drug testing, correct?
That's correct.
And I know marijuana is now it's now an everyday occurrence, right? In Michigan, is there any leeway that you have in terms of that, or is it just something that's federal? Okay.
That's correct. We're still, as Kayla alluded to, for our school bus drivers, are zero tolerance for DUI or drug and alcohol, and that there is some discretion at the operator level, but marijuana is not permissible, even as a medical waiver to operate a CDL.
So to that point, that's something you can talk to your legislators about, because those things do have an impact at our level, and if we don't want to exclude anybody from the conversation that we're having that's very critical. And so when you see your legislators, you can talk to them about that. My last question would be, I understand that the best time to reach is before 2. However, I'm guessing that is around the time that kids are going to start coming home and that the calls are going to start coming in. So I don't understand that. Why is there no one available during the prime time that the calls are coming in? And I get that you want as many people out there as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I understand that. But then I don't think your telephone people are required to have that same level of training. I know you may want them to, but I don't think they have to. So how can we fix that where someone is available during the prime times of transportation, particularly the morning when kids are being transported to school, and in the evening, early afternoon when they are being, when we're anticipating them coming back? I just don't think that to not have someone that they could reach is the best idea, and I think it maybe can fuel more anxiety versus being able to reach someone that could say, this bus is here, and much to what Mr. Eatman was saying, if we could get that system online to be able to share that. But I'm just really, I would implore you to figure out a system to have someone available during those prime transportation hours, because if a parent is looking for a kid to get a voicemail or leave a voicemail, it's not okay.
And we agree. You know, all the office staff who are CDL drivers have had all of our driver training program. They've had our healthcare management. They've had our crisis prevention institute management. They've been dealing with all the operational policies, procedures. They're trained. Many of them were promoted from drivers to the office, and so they're ready to go out. So there are staff there during the entire from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. to answer phone calls. The peak, when it hits like 2 o'clock, when everybody's on the road, the challenge there is that, you know, nearly 100 buses are out on the road, so a lot of calls can come in asking, you know, what time's my bus gonna arrive, where's my bus at, that type thing. So we do have folks, and it might just take a minute because of the amount of the volume that would come in. But to get to Bruce to deal with a challenge, or Lisa's our assistant manager, they would, 9 to 2, they should be answering the phones. You know, we took in our phone system, we don't have voicemail on our phones. So a person can't call and leave a message and think they were ignored. Somebody's gonna answer the phone. And we believe that's very important. We are going to answer the phone, and we're going to diligently work, as we started tonight's conversation, to get back to them either immediately or as soon as possible.
I think just a clarifier on that. We've said that it's the dispatch systems that by intent don't have a voicemail. Now, certainly if someone needs to speak with a supervisor or has a higher level concern, if they go to the routing department or supervisor, you can go to voicemail. But by default, our goal is we do not set a dispatch voicemail to make sure that critical message gets through.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. I think we've gotten through the questions. I'm sure there'll be more to come. And again, remind the family and board members and community that on October 4 from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., Dean Transportation will be at GRPS University to give some updates and answer some questions.
We really thank you for this opportunity again to give you this update. The first one in July in here, and we will stand ready for the next time you would like us to be here. We're looking forward to October the 4th, and we a lot of what we heard tonight, or we've been hearing, has really been mounting over the last couple of years. They've been issues, and for the life of me, I can't believe that they can't get a hold or a touch. And so we're reaching out to October the 4th here to open communication. This would be the first of maybe other meetings that we want to have to make sure that there's clarity, that folks get to know us better and to know what we're attempting to do every single day. So we appreciate this time with you as board members who we work for, and the community who's watching and so on, and hopefully we're going to solve a lot of these problems that have been built up over a period of time. We thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dean Transportation. Our next presentation, part of Superintendent's report, is from our GRPS Foundation, which is Ms. Stephanie Andrews and Mrs. Bridget Cheney. Invite you forward.
Good evening, Dr. Roby. Ms. Williams, board. Let me put my glasses on so I can read here. Just a quick update. I will not keep you very long. And we've already heard from Mr. Johnson. We are on track for turkey trot sponsorship. And actually, we have a stretch goal this year of raising $100,000. We raised $75,000 last year, and so we really believe that we're able to raise $100,000, especially since we're way ahead of where we were this time last year. Additionally, we're on track to raise almost $750,000 for GRPS this year, and we're very excited about how we're going to be doing that this year. Principals Fund grants are going to be opening, and if you're not familiar with that, every school has up to $2,000 that they can apply for with the foundation, and we are going to be opening that and actually going to create kind of an interesting process where the board, and we'd love to have some students also help look at those this year and just have some input, and then do some kind of unique ways of going to the schools and kind of granting a big check, and just really making a kind of an uplifting story out of every single grant that we make with those. And if you follow us on Facebook, you'll see some of the grants that we did last year. Sent kids to camp, sent kids to Washington. We funded hygiene closets, we funded outerwear, lots of different things, and so we really look forward to those. We have just finished up 2 homecoming dress giveaways, one at Union High School and one at UPRA, and we are going to be doing one with Ottawa Hills, and potentially one other one with Central Innovation. So excited for those, and if you have some time to volunteer and do that, it's a great afternoon to spend with some young women in our schools as they get to pick out their dress. Year-end appeal is coming up, as well as our Foundation for the Future on October 12th. I know there's quite a few of you lined up, and we're expecting 400 people at Meyer Gardens. So that is my report, unless there's any questions.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice to see your face. I know this came up last time, and I was just curious to know, is there donations can be accepted for also those who identify as boys to be able to get suits donated to them for homecoming as well? I know that it's been a focus on those identified as girls to get their dresses, but I'm also wondering about those others who cannot necessarily afford a suit if they choose to wear.
Yes, that has come up a few times, and from a scalability standpoint, we're trying to we've only been doing this less than a year. So this is just kind of our second year of doing this, and so we're just making sure that we can manage what we have. Lugging 400 dresses around to our high schools, it takes a lot of volunteers and coordination. We'd love to figure out how to also do that. So we've been talking to the schools directly, and we work with a lot of the KSSN workers to actually pull this off, and so we've kind of talked to them about having kind of a formal wear closet, so doing something that they could have direct there. It's a great idea, and it has come up, and I appreciate the thought, and we do have it in the back of our minds. Just sometimes it's just our 4-person team, so just trying to figure out how to collect the suits and do all the things, and so.
Mr. Eatman, I was at one of the events, and I was talking to one of the young men, and they said that the gentlemen wear their pants leg too wide, and they weren't interested in their suits. So I'm saying that where formal dresses may be a little bit more just a style preference, when young men in high school want to wear a skinny pants and most of the adults are wearing a wider leg trouser, that could be an expense into trying to alter something like that that may not necessarily be the best way, and these are coming in mostly used. So I'm just saying that just from talking to some of the young men, they didn't like the style of suits that they thought most of the older gentlemen would be donating.
You're referring to that Stacey Adams era of suits, and I do understand that. I'm chuckling because I just had a couple flashbacks. However, also that's probably another way that we could also utilize our partner in our community connections, because there's multiple different altering companies who would definitely want to donate some time for that. So there is some ring around, but if you are going to start opening that up, please let us know. I would love to donate my non-wide leg suits to individuals that would need it, because I also like a actual fitted suit and not one that looks like I need to have, a cane with me as well. So I do appreciate that. But if that does happen, please let us know, so that way that could be a way for us to donate.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we can look at, how do we expand it in the future? Again, the foundation always wants to be here for experiential opportunities for our students, and that's even why we do the homecoming and prom dress kind of project anyways. So I think there's lots of opportunities. We had an opportunity to give some senior photos, right? So there might be other ways that we can make sure that we're doing something for our young men in the district as well. But I appreciate the comment.Maybe it's a tie collection. I don't know. There's so many different opportunities. So we'll just keep growing and getting better at it. So yeah.
Have some connections with the ties and bow ties
All
as well.
right.
So.
I love that. I love that. So, any other questions about our work?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We might have to start with the accessories, the bow ties, belts, socks, shoes.
So the good thing about that is when you mentioned it, a lot of our Black Greek letter organizations for the male side have the mentoring programs that do the bow tie brunch that talks about those different types of accessories. So that actually might be a good thing, and I would love to donate to that as well if that's a possibility.
Right. The last part of our presentation is actually the Reimagine GRPS dashboard. This went live on Friday of last week, and we're excited about it. It is a interactive and growing. It's something that we are committed to updating on a regular basis, and so this is our first foray into this, and so we want to make sure that it's hitting some of the things that we said as part of our Reimagine GRPS with us, what that looks like, and then also where we are in those different metrics. There are some, as you notice, if you've had a chance to look at, there are dates or anticipated timelines around that, and we want to be sensitive to that, and also being held accountable to how are we adjusting for that. So even if it says we haven't started a work on a particular entity or metric just yet, it doesn't mean that it's not yet to come or it's not in the works. I think that's the wrong video.
No.
That's the right video? Okay.
Yes. Good evening, President Williams, Dr. Roby, and distinguished board members. So yes, we're going to be talking about really the communications that you all have charged us with as far as keeping our community up to speed on what's happening, not just the headlines, but the kind of pulling back the curtain and really seeing what's happening in real time. You've also asked for communication around the bond rolling out, so we want you to see the world debut of our bond video. We had a little bit of a challenge with finding top talent. We really wanted a strong delivery in this, but we did not have to go too far from our own backyard.
Wow.
Vivica Fox was not available for us, but we'll do you one better here.
Hello, GRPS community. It's an exciting time at Grand Rapids Public Schools as we implement the Reimagine GRPS With Us plan. A key part of this plan is the no tax increase bond proposal this November that would raise $305 million. The GRPS bond proposal is not a tax rate increase. It is an existing tax rate currently being paid by property owners in Grand Rapids. The proposed bond would extend the existing property tax rate of 3.85 mils to generate $305 million. That money would be used for targeted improvements to safety and security, academic environments, playgrounds, technology, athletics, and fine arts. The Reimagine GRPS With Us plan was generated by hundreds of conversations that we've had with our community. GRPS has spent the last few years engaging our scholar families, community advocates, and previously underrepresented stakeholder groups to listen, learn, and take honest stock at the opportunities to envision future academic programming and facility use. Our goal is to meet the holistic needs of our scholars and to prioritize major challenges facing the district, including academic achievement, safety and security, historic inequities, staffing shortages, and the annual structural budget deficit, which is a result of too many buildings and not enough staff and students. This is a big undertaking, and we want to keep you updated on the progress that we are making. You can see the full Reimagine GRPS With Us plan at grps.org/reimagine. And as a reminder, Election Day is Tuesday, November 7th. Information on the ballot proposal language, how to register to vote, where to vote, and how to vote absentee is also available on grps.org/reimagine. This plan is all about our children. When the Grand Rapids community comes together, our kids win. Please help share this information so that your family, friends, and neighbors are fully informed about the Reimagine GRPS with Us plan and the no tax increase bond proposal. Thank you.
All right. Who needs Van Away, you know? One of my favorite things is we get to see the wide range of Dr. Roby's hairstyles over the past year and a half that are on full display in that video. But our hope is really to connect with our audience and make sure they understand the information behind what the bond campaign is all about. So that is the goal of that video. So let's get to the dashboard. For those of you who haven't met, our Reimagine GRPS project manager, Luke Steyer, has taken the full charge in putting this dashboard together with our web team, and has done a really nice job with what we are about to show you now. So Luke, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Williams, Superintendent Roby, and the Board of Trustees. This dashboard is really about taking the Reimagine GRPS plan and putting it into dashboard form. We want to be able for the community to hold us accountable. This is all about transparency and regaining the trust of our community. I know many of you have already had a chance to see this dashboard, but for everyone in attendance, I just kind of want to show you around just a little bit so you can kind of get a quick tour. It's arranged just like the Reimagine GRPS plan by category. So if you click on culture, you'll see some of the items there. Superintendent Roby's vlogs. This is the first, we committed that we were going to do these regular updates from the superintendent. We started doing them last month. Every other week we post a new video. So it shows that we're at 100%. Our target date was for September for that. And if you click on this link, it takes you right to where you can see all of her vlogs. I'll show you just academics, just as another example. You can see some of the examples there. We promise to offer increased physical and mental health services. We have health service support at every building, and we have mental health support at nearly every school building. We have 2 openings for mental health clinicians right now, but we are nearing our goal in that category. And I'll also show, here's air quality just for another example. This tracks all of the buildings right now that do not have air conditioning. You can see those are not checked, but some more of these will be checked soon. Congress, Grand Rapids Montessori Academy, Kent Hills, Innovation Central will come online in the next few months. It also shows, we're working on, we had promised to provide updates on air quality at our buildings throughout the district. Our facilities team right now is working to hire a contractor so that we can test air quality in all of our buildings once per year, and then those results will get posted on grps.org. So this will update as that process happens. We also committed to getting our free air purifiers in all of our buildings. Half of our buildings did that earlier this year, and our school nurses are now taking the charge to make sure that we get them in all of our buildings. So that is a goal to have through the end of the year. So you can kind of click on different categories and see those items. We have a lot of the objectives up there from the plan. Over the next few weeks, we'll work to get more of them up there so that eventually everything from this plan is there and has a target date and a status update for everyone to be able to track for us.
The other thing we learned earlier this year with the GR Montessori project is our families' desire to know what's happening with the projects that are happening in our building. So now on, this is one way to find it, on our facilities page, we have these construction project blogs. And what they are is all of our active projects that are happening within a school. We've started blog posting. We're going to update at least every couple of weeks about what has happened in each of the projects and what will be happening next. So if you click Innovation Central, our first blog gives you an overview of the project. Our first blog posting is here showing what has happened there. We'll include pictures. You can see that wall, the infamous wall we've talked about. You can see the work being done there, and we'll be providing those updates regularly. These are also available on the individual school sites. So if you go to Innovation Central's page, you can see that they've got a construction project log, and you can just click there and see the same thing at each school. So that's happening there. I also want to mention that we do have our first informational meeting relative to the bond. Dr. Roby will be presenting at GRPS University on September 26th. So we're starting our communication effort there to make sure folks know. We'll be doing a brief presentation that we will also stream online, and then mostly it's an opportunity for the public to ask questions, engage with us, and talk to us. We are timing this ahead of the mailing out of the absentee ballots. So folks who will be making that decision on whether to vote for the bond before Election Day will have this opportunity to meet with us, interface with us, and ask their questions relative to the bond. What questions do you all have?
Mr. Eatman.
Thank you for the presentation. I had a couple questions. Can you re-emphasize how often, not with this construction, but the original dashboard that you showed beyond the operations, I don't remember what you called this, I apologize, but how often would the original dashboard that you presented on be updated?
Yes, the reimagined GRPS dashboard will be updated extremely regularly. I mean, on a weekly basis, as new things, as things progress, we will make sure to get those up there immediately. And we're also working where we show, for instance, if you go back to the culture, and where there's the link there to all of the reimagined vlogs, we're working to add more links so that there's additional information there so that you can click to and actually see the progress and have additional documentation for those.
Sticking on the terms of the data, and I do want to emphasize that what you started off with, just public awareness, is we gave feedback, you guys listened, and I appreciate the aspect that this was like based off of the feedback that we received from the public, and so to see that was put into place, thank you. I want to start off with that before I continue. Will this data for these dashboards in particularly be, could they be disaggregated to show actual schools specifically, not from the construction side like you did, much like you did with the construction for the schools? Will these individual bullet points that you have also be, can be filtered by school?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We kind of, this is going to develop and grow and mature and all of that, but we wanted to start with something, get it out there. So I think once we nail this process, the more intuitive we can make it, the more hyper-local that we can make it, we'll definitely be looking to that. So that's a great idea. It's not something we had necessarily thought of on this district dashboard, but the more we can tell people about their school, the better, and I agree with that.
So I know we have our own Vivica Fox, as you stated. I recently, which was hilarious too, by the way.
More Nia Long.
Okay, our own Nia Long, let's say that. I just came back from a marketing conference, and one of the things that they talked about that really grasped people's attention that people can't say no to is kids and dogs and cats, literally. So they start talking about how they use it from TikTok to everything from Facebook into other platforms and social media. Even how people are changing their presentation. They'll show pictures of their kids first before they go into anything, or they'll get pictures of a random cat or a dog because that somehow relates in America to very strategic things. And so I'm asking that to say, is there plans for any versions of the reimagined GRPS continuation of this bond to actually incorporate any of our scholars in a video to help tell that story on our behalf?
Yes, as you saw, there was a lot of imagery of children in that, so we used them in that way. We're careful with, obviously there's a political side to this, and so our process really has to be very much informational and not advocacy for the bond per se. So we're careful about that line, but as far as talking about what we mean when we say reimagine, our kids' voices need to be involved in that, and that should be involved in our materials too. So that is something we always talk about at the table, how we can incorporate scholar voice into this kind of work.
And so you anticipate that happening somehow with?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you, Nia Long, Jr.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, so I noticed that, well, I haven't received any flyers. I know my colleagues have received multiple. But are there plans on sending out Spanish flyers for our voters? Just thinking about nearly half our student population being Hispanic, I feel like I would miss the mark if we didn't send out Spanish flyers. And especially when I was doing my campaign for school board, I ran into plenty of registered voters, just even on this west side, right, that were Spanish speaking only. So I think that's something that we should consider.
Yes, Spanish and beyond, really.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is in the plans.
All right. Thank you.
So are the mailers only going, I'm curious because I haven't received on any, and I'm wondering is it because, is it the fact that we don't have kids that we didn't receive them, or they're going to everyone?
So the first set of mailers went to likely voters, which were defined by people who had voted in 2 previous municipal elections. So you're looking for the people who are likely going to vote in November. They've been in 2 municipal elections that were not presidential or gubernatorial elections. So it was kind of like the diehard voters. Then the second version of the mailer went to staff members, families, and also likely voters again.
So I'm a likely voter.
We're likely voters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Others?
I think there's a formula for that because with the likely voter thing, because I asked the question around the original set of flyers, I didn't get the original flyer, and I thought because I moved here in 2020, which would have been a presidential election, and then the other part of that in 2022, which would have been the off
Would have been
year
the
cycle,
gubernatorial, I
but I
believe,
hadn't,
yeah.
so I hadn't participated in 2 off-cycle elections, and so I did not get that first round, but I did receive the second round.
Yeah, I believe it would have been, you would have had to vote in both the 2021 and 2019, I believe, municipal elections to become a likely voter for the mailing list.
I worked for the government at that time and was, so that's why I think that's strange that I didn't receive it.
Yeah. And that information that comes from the county, correct? Is that coming from the county?
The
We know
clerk's
it's not
office?
from us. Yes, our communications arm works with folks, vendors who put that together.
Okay.
Seaforth, our bond communications arm. So we don't know all the scientific behind the formula, but what we shared is what we understand that to be.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, we do not have any action items this evening, and so is there a motion for consent agenda grouping?
So moved.
Support.
Wonderful.
I know we guys had the same time.
Please call the roll, Ms. Lewis, Downs Lewis, I'm sorry.
That's right. Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Melton?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Shotkey?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and at this time, I do not have any board announcements. Then we will go to our next area for public comment. And I'm wondering if our union rep has a comment. I want to make sure to call you up first okay. So then we will.
There he is.
No, thank you. Okay, wonderful. So then we will go right into our public comment. I will call up. Did we lose our chairs up front? Are we going to the mic? Okay, wonderful. So I'll call up Kyle Maynard. Okay, and then on deck we'll have Allison McGee and Dee Jones. And then again, if you could read the instructions for public comment, Ms. Downs Lewis.
Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. You will need to state your full name before providing your comment. We will then start the timer at the beginning of your public comment time and provide you with a 1-minute notice by flagging the red card indicating that 1 minute remains. You will need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment concerns will be brought to the attention of appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Kyle Myers-Skop. I'm a resident of the Southeast Side and a brand new GRPS parent. My son just started kindergarten at Brookside Elementary. When my wife and I were considering where to send him this year, we considered a few options, but ultimately settled on our neighborhood school for several reasons, not least because of the incredible work and reputation of its principal, Melissa Wozniak. Our decision was confirmed the very first week of class, when our son screamed and cried at drop-off, and it was Miss Wozniak who held him, calmed him, and made him feel safe. A month in now, and our son loves to go to school. Imagine our distress then when only 3 weeks into the school year, an email from district leaders unceremoniously informed us that our beloved principal, who had committed her life and career to GRPS, and particularly the Southeast Side as a student, a longtime teacher and administrator, was now out as principal, effective immediately. In the weeks since this email rocked ours and our son's fragile new world, my wife and I have had quite an education. We've learned that Ms. Wozniak is hardly the first great leader that the Southeast Side has lost, some rather publicly and embarrassingly for the district. We've learned that though the email inaccurately attributed this move to personal reasons, the true reason our principal is no longer in our school is because of her lack of certification. Ms. Wozniak was not admin certified, and this was publicly known when she was appointed by the district to take the role of principal. But what remains confusing to us is that according to a check with Michigan Department of Education, they don't have a record of any permits being pulled for the admin role at Brookside since 2019, the year that Ms. Wozniak started. What's more, as we understand it, the onus to pull the permits necessary to begin the certification process is on the district. So who is responsible for the certification process, and where are the permits for Ms. Wozniak since 2019? Frankly, the lack of clear communication around this creates a vacuum that rumors and speculation all too easily fill. What's more, no official apology has yet been made accepting the responsibility for the real harm, trauma, and lost trust as a result of this failure. My fellow Brookside parents and I have a lot of questions, and because our questions have largely gone unanswered thus far by district leadership, we're turning to you with the following requests. Brookside needs resources to support us during this upheaval. We're working closely with teachers to figure out what we need to survive the school year without hemorrhaging teachers and families. And we will be asking for your full support of our forthcoming request to the district, noting that it will most likely require a budget amendment. We want Ms. Wozniak back in our building, and because the district has so far declined to act on this point, we request that a board delegation work directly with Ms. Wozniak to explore pathways that are possible to bring her back to her community. And third, we have broader concerns about the district and fears that unless systemic failures here are addressed, this pain could be visited on other GRPS schools moving forward. To this end, we're asking for accountability for district mismanagement in this regard and would like to see a third-party investigation regarding removal of principals in the last decade. And at the very least, staff moving through the certification process have to be better supported. The Eureka report pointed out a lot of this stuff already, and we're seeing it play out in our own community right now. My wife and I don't regret choosing Brookside for our son. We're proud to make GRPS our choice. The truth, though, is that the district's handling of this situation and the underlying failures that have caused it make it hard for families and employees to keep choosing GRPS. We look forward to working with you all moving forward to change that.
Thank you. Allison McKee, D. Jones is on deck, as well as Marta Johnson is on deck.
Hello, my name is Allison McKee. I am a proud Brookside parent. I have 2 students there, a 3rd grader and a 5th grader, who you heard from earlier. We moved to Grand Rapids from out of state, and it was extremely important to us to attend public schools. We weren't familiar with schools, the district, or the neighborhood community, and feel so incredibly lucky to have chosen a rental house on the internet next to Garfield Park. We have been so incredibly blessed that by chance we landed at Brookside and hit the jackpot with elementary schools. After a few months from moving here, we bought a house in Fulton Heights, but chose to continue to send our kids to Brookside and make the drive across town while we had a plethora of other schools available for us to attend. We chose to stay at Brookside because of the relationships that have been created and the extraordinary environment and community of the school. My children have been cared for pushed academically, and most importantly to us, they both wake up every day wanting to come to school and are excited. This will now be our 3rd year at Brookside, and in that time period, we have learned more about GRPS. One of the struggles I have with the way this district is set up is the way school choice creates so much opportunity for loss of community and belonging. I dread the day that our kids graduate from Brookside because this unique and valuable community that has been so well taken care of will be spread across the district because of school choice. This well-built and thriving community is much in part to what Ms. Wozniak, the principal, has created. Her leadership, energy, and compassion are what made Brookside our school choice. The events that have transpired regarding her removal have been incredibly disappointing and saddening for my family and the rest of the Brookside Bengal community. Thank you.
Thank you. Dee Jones, Marta Johnson is on deck, and Roxanne Shulsky is also on deck.
Very tired. I've been here for like 3 hours. But that's what happens when you care. But how you doing, everybody? My name is Dee Jones. My cousin was just killed in Chicago at a gas station and made the headline news. And I'm not one of them people that fake like they from the hood or anything like that. Everybody knows who I am. So I'm not a fake or ingenuine person, but I say this because I have his brother got killed by the state police in Illinois, and I'm from Chicago. So I think about my cousin, and she has a son who got killed by the state police, and then her son was just killed in gang violence and beef, somebody else's beef. And so when I come to my school district and I go to my Kent County board that's Republican, and I speak to them about the school to prison pipeline and creating educational opportunities, I'm not just speaking to you guys from this, I'm speaking to you from my own experience. I'm speaking to you from a kid who has been in a juvenile detention and walked those halls and been in the AD and see people jump out of 2-story windows and go see people go to prison and go back to jail. I've lived all of these experiences, and I come to you guys with passion, being myself, and asking you guys to do something innovative, something that's cool, something that can really change our education system. I believe I will change the education system. And I need you guys' help. I need you guys' help to keep these kids off the streets and give them something cool to do, because my cousin never had the opportunity to graduate high school, him or his brother, and now they're dead in a casket. And I used to speak to my cousin a lot about just the work that I'm doing, and he would always say, "Cuz, keep going." And he was proud of me because we were always the laughing stock of our family, and we were probably the smartest kids out of all of our family's kids. And so when I come to you guys and I really speak to you guys, I don't really waste my time. I really sat here for 3 hours to tell you guys that, and I don't really want to tell you guys about my problems because that's not who I am. But I'm really going through a lot of tragic things with my family, and it's made the headline news. And I come to my school district and I understand how important these issues is, and that could be somebody else's cousin.
1 minute.
You know, that could be your cousin that get killed by the state police or get killed in the streets. It could be your family, just like Breonna Taylor when I was out there protesting out there for her family when she died. It became my family after that. And so it's a lot of social issues I care about that also affects the school district. And so I'm asking you guys, when I come to you guys, I'm just asking you to consider what I'm doing, consider my work, consider my experiences, consider the things that I've been through, consider those things, because that can be kids at GRPS, and I work hard so those kids don't be a victim of gang violence or beef, because there really aren't street gangs. They're just underserved communities that need resources to be able to unplug the bad seeds of systematic racism that has been here for generations of families and of Republican infrastructure that needs to be changed. And so I ask you guys, I'm very bold, I'm very courageous, I really care about this community, the students, all of these people, and I really wish that you guys consider the things I'm bringing. Thank you.
Thank you. Marta Johnson, Roxanne Shulsky, and Aaron Johnson are up next.
All right, I'm not as tall as some of these other people. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I am Marta Johnson. I've been coming to the board meetings for a while now. I have 2 kids in GRPS. I've been really involved in trying to improve this district. It started even before my kids started school. I went door to door in my community and surrounding communities to get people to choose Campus Elementary. I was really passionate about neighborhood schools, building the kind of community that Brookside has. And since then I've been trying to find ways to support other parents and caregivers to improve the experience, most notably with Holly and Alicia, who started the Parents for Safe and Reliable Transportation. So it was extra frustrating to hear the report because I think the issues that have been addressed here have been brought up for years in meetings with Larry Johnson and Bridget Cheney and Dean Transportation from about 2017 till the pandemic. They noted that Here Comes the Bus is not an adequate solution. It's never been a workable app that's usable for parents. They noted that we need a transparent ticketing system, or whatever we want to call that, so that people can again record their issues that they're having and get an immediate response. We need somebody to own talking to parents so that when their kids are missing, they can find them immediately and not have to wait for hours or forever to hear back on this. Somebody needs to own this. And I just want to bring this back to the Eureka report, which transportation is one issue, air quality I've been talking about is another issue, but I just wanted to lift up in the Eureka report, which reflects all of our experiences that we've been having with the district, which is leading to GRPS is losing kids and families because the administration is not listening. Families are losing trust and leaving. Like Jen Shoki, or Ms. Shoki, I heard you say, we've lost trust. It's 100% the truth. If we hear about our kids being lost, if our kids are more than a half an hour, hour late, 2 hours late, there's no trust there. There's no trust to go to a meeting and think that anything's going to be resolved. We need the board to step in and really hold some accountability for change. Not just on transportation. We need change on the culture of how decisions are being made, how communication happens. We need change around air quality. I'm still waiting to try to get a meeting with a group of parents and air quality advocates, including Parents for Healthy Homes, including other experts and people that care and are in the know on air quality. I haven't gotten that. There are so many layers of not listening. There's no two-way communication. So when I see a dashboard, that really means nothing to me because it's not changing the experience that I have or many other people have with the district. We need change now. We're calling you, the board, please step in, hold some feet to the fire, really fight for this change because we're losing families and it's really having a lot of reverberations in our schools and our kids. So please, things need to change. Step up and hold some people accountable.
Roxanne Shulsky, Aaron Johnson is up next, and Anna Johnson is up next.
Hi, my name is Roxanne Chulsky. I'm a parent at Grand Rapids Montessori. I've been trying to think for a while now of what I wanted to say to you today because there's just so much that needs to be addressed. Equity and safety and across the board in our schools. We need immediate action to address busing and accessibility and air quality and food quality and safety for our staff and students. But what I keep coming back to is this, that we want to be heard. I experienced it in the recent construction communication fiasco at Grand Rapids Montessori, that our concerns and our responses were just downplayed and dismissed what we said. And I hear the pain in the voices of the other caregivers and students speaking here tonight. And the communication issues are reflected all throughout the Eureka report as well. This is not an isolated issue. If somebody that I loved was in a relationship, whether personal or professional, where they were being treated the way that the district treats caregivers who speak up, I would tell them to get out of there and ask them what I could do to help them get someplace where they are seen and heard and valued. It feels that safety and well-being is not prioritized and our voices are not valued. Despite my better judgment, I want to be in this relationship, but I need to know, are you willing to work with us to implement change and not just with websites? Putting information out there is great, but we need as well just open communication and transparency. We need plans and concrete action on these issues now. My 8-year-old asked me as well to say that he would like to see more fresh food and a variety of foods that allow kids to get all the nutrients they need, and he suggested that we should also have options that would make lunch accessible to more kids with allergies and dietary restrictions. So, thank you.
Next, Aaron Johnson. Anna Johnson or Anna Johnson is up next, and Courtney Myers-Keaton.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Johnson. I'm the parent of a first and third grade students at Brookside Elementary. Thank you to President Williams, Dr. Roby, and the GRPS board for your commitment to the students. So I want to thank you. Also for the district for launching the Reimagine dashboard. This is a step towards transparency. It's noticed and appreciated. I just want to talk for a minute about school culture from the perspective of a parent. I found that after being in lots of schools, like a healthy school culture is palpable. When you walk in the door, like you feel it, you know it, it's there. It's hard as heck to build too. Brookside has it, and I really think it's in danger of losing that good culture that we have. As Ms. Cheney, Ms. Lutz, and Mr. Hendricks experienced last week, we have a spirited group of parents that care about the school. We take supporting it very seriously. Brookside is a place where people are supported, where students are taught to believe in themselves and one another, and in the power of community. We have anywhere from 10 to 17 different languages spoken in the homes of our students, depending on the school year. So it's an extremely diverse place. Brookside is a place where differences in backgrounds are acknowledged, recognized, celebrated, and learned from. Hasn't always been this way. Principal Wozniak is a huge reason for this, along with the dedicated teachers and staff. So we have a lot of great things happening at Brookside. We're continuing to build a strong culture. Caregiver and community support, I think, is at an all-time high. But we can't do it alone. We can't do it without district support. We can't do it without a principal, without anyone really knowing who's in charge at our school or what the year is going to look like. We need much more frequent, honest, and transparent communication around the principal position and the staffing of that position, as well as additional resources that will be put into place to mitigate the disruption that this change in principal has caused to the students during this school year.
Thank you. Anna Johnson, Courtney Myers-Keaton, and Sherry Fitzpatrick is on deck.
Hi, my name is Anna Johnson. I am one of the pals at Brookside. Thank you all for your commitment to GRPS and being here. This is a real labor of love for you guys. It takes a lot of time and energy, and we see that, so thank you. I have something prepared that I'm going to get into, but also wanted to quickly make a note that our families that are non-English speakers are not being communicated to regarding busing. So just wanted to put that on your radar and encourage, if they do a dashboard or an app, please make that so that it can be translated. Okay, I want to just quickly share a few thoughts on behalf of the Brookside families in regards to the removal of our principal. Brookside is unique for many reasons. One of them is because it is a cultural center. And depending on the year, we have, between, as AJ said, between 10 and 17 languages spoken in the homes of our families. It takes time and a special person to establish trust with a community that is that diverse. We have that, had that in Melissa Wozniak. That trust was earned slowly and over time of her 21 years at that school. I've had countless families come to me in the last week saying that they are at Brookside because of our principal, because of Mrs. Wozniak, and how she cared for their kiddos, knew their family stories, and they trusted her. Our families are sad, they're confused, they're angry, and worst of all, some of them are apathetic. I had a parent come up to me after school today and say, "I can't believe you're going tonight." It doesn't even matter, they're not going to do anything. That breaks my heart. We're trusting GRPS with our children, with our children's futures. We deserve transparency about this situation and a plan for how the school is going to move forward. We're asking for answers. We're asking for help in keeping our school a place where our families and our staff choose to invest and stay in. We believe in GRPS. We want to be here, and we need your help.
Thank you. Courtney Myers-Keaton, Sherry Fitzpatrick, and last we'll have Kathy, I'm sorry, I don't have it managed. Thank you. Thank you for the grace.
Courtney's gone.
Courtney is gone. Sherry Fitzpatrick.
Hi, my name is Cherie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cherie.
I have 2 kids in the GRPS. My son attends Union. He came in his 9th grade year here. He came with Coach Fellows. The only reason my son came to this school was because of Coach Fellows. We've been knowing Coach Fellows. He came up here and talked since he was 8. The majority of the team that he brought in that year of 2019-20, Fellows brought with him, they were kids that had been with him since they were 8, 9, 10 years old. He completely changed the dynamic of you guys' athletic department as far as football. I never got to hear nothing from the school about Coach Fellows. Everything that I have heard about him has been from the news or from other people. But I've been here since 6:30, and I've heard a lot of stuff that other people have said, especially you, Ms. Williams. I'm gonna start with you because I think that was you that said you talked to Ice-T, or y'all was somewhere and Ice-T was there and he talked about the program. Everything you named, Coach Fellows gives our kids. And I can bet you any type of money right now, he know more about every kid on that football team individually than any teacher or principal inside of their school knows. I can tell you he is more involved than any teacher, principal, or anybody else is involved. We all make mistakes. I just sit here and listen to Dean Transportation. I was a victim myself. My grandson was the kid that was all over the news, left on the bus, asleep. They forgot he was back there. That was me. That was my family, my grandson. And if they can make a mistake as thick as that, because could you imagine your 7-year-old grandson not coming home and you're calling the school and they don't know, we put him on a bus, Dean Transportation not answering, and then when you do get a call, it's an attitude and you gotta wait 10 or 15 minutes before they can find somebody to come back and tell you, we don't know. And then maybe he get out at 3, but at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, you get a call and say, oh, what happened was, I say that to say, if Dean Transportation, and no disrespect to them, could make a mistake as that big, they're dropping kids off at wrong addresses. Just a what if that was a pedophile? They dropped that kid off too that knocked on the wrong door. Everyone makes mistakes, but I'm seeing like when it comes to Coach Fellows, we haven't heard anything from the schools. We hearing rumors and gossip. You guys are not sticking up for him. I haven't heard anybody speak positive about him. The fact that he brought a whole program to y'all, he brought kids. If y'all let him go, I can guarantee you 85% of that football team is gonna go back to the streets. I've watched him go to the streets and pick these kids up. I watch him go to the houses and get them. He feeds them when they're with him through the day. He not only feeds them, he provides transportation. If they need help with anything athletically, uniform, he does all of that. If they need someone to talk to outside of a parent, I'm a parent that's been with him since my son was 8. So I can say, I've seen him go to the corners and pick kids up and say, come on, you wanna play ball? And literally take that kid off the streets. I just heard the guy come up here and say, well, such and such got killed and all of that. Well, I know a coach that has taken at least 50 to 65% of these kids on his team off the streets and brought them to the point where they're coming to school and playing sports. That's 60 to how many days, every days they are in football practice, that us as parents, we don't have to worry about nothing. We don't have to worry about them being in the streets. We don't have to worry about them being hungry. We don't have to worry about if they're hurt. We don't have to worry about if a teacher is getting on their nerves. We don't have to worry about if they're failing, because guess what? Coach Fellows does all that. He makes sure these boys are tip-top. When we go to other programs or other games and other fields, which is mostly, I'll say, Catholic Central, we get told they're dogs or they're ghetto. This man took all of his own money and built up a program, and because of a mistake he made on his personal time, our kids are gonna pay for it. Ours. And I'm not being prejudiced when I say this, but the majority of the kids he went and picked up off the streets are young black men. So to me, for us not to know anything, hear anything, or nobody say anything, we just gotta sit back and wait and say, oh, well, maybe he will, maybe he won't. No, this is a real, true progress with the community, with Coach Fellows. And I honestly feel like if y'all take this away from these boys, you're gonna lose 50% of the team, 50% of the team that these kids playing with now. My son is a senior, so he'll be gone. But I can guarantee you those that's coming, you're not gonna have no more. Another coach ain't gonna come in and do that. So my thing is, we want them back. We definitely want them back. And it was a room full of parents out here, but you guys, I am a parent. My kids go to school. Y'all made us wait.
Time?
Till this time, and then rushed me out of here to say what I had to say. But
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's crazy that y'all would make us wait till 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Kathy?
Okay, I came later, so I didn't get in the beginning of the busing, but mine's around the busing, and I appreciated all the questions that you guys had. You had many of the ones that I have, and so one of the ones, well, first of all, I'm Kathy Siegenthaler. I'm a clinician through Upper Circle, working at Burton Elementary through the KSSN, and I'm a home-based, school-based, therapist. So what I've been trying to do is to get some of the kids that I work with to school, to get their attendance, because they really need to be in school. So, and I really appreciate, I'll be at the October 4th or have some people there. So just solving these problems, because the relationships that kids have with their bus drivers and the parents is so important. So I wanted to add to the issue of Spanish speaking. I've had to, and I don't know if maybe it came up earlier, but I have a number of parents that cannot do, problem solve the busing situation because they don't speak, so they have to have advocates. And then also the McKinney-Vento, the homeless and home insecure people. Housing is a terrible issue, as we all know, getting worse, it seems like, rather than better. And so we have more kids that are needing to get to school from farther away and are moving around more. So it is a big problem to solve. I had when I called with a parent to Dean Transport, I got the message that, oh, we have to serve all the other kids first before we serve the homeless kids. And I thought, that is not the message. We want to serve all our kids. And maybe those kids need a little more attention to get to school because of the situation they're going through. So when I mentioned it to Dean people out there in the hall, and he wrote it down, because that is not a message they should train their employees with. So hopefully they'll change it, but I wanted to say it again. So anyway, those are just a few of the issues I just wanted to add to the table. And just that the relationship with our bus drivers is so important, just like with teachers, with principals. When in my old school in Chicago, we used to do a breakfast for the bus drivers. Like, they need to be part of our community.
Thank you. Next, we have superintendent comments.
All right, thank you, everyone. Many of you have shared your frustration and feelings around two difficult personnel matters that we are addressing as a district. I want you to know that we do hear you, and we share sentiments that have been expressed. These are challenging situations because they involve our employees, team members that we care deeply about, and team members who have clearly made connections with many of you or your children or others in our community. That's why we ask each of our team members, and clearly you have sincere, real connections with both Ms. Wozniak as well as Mr. Fellows. While we aim to share as much as we can about those impacted personnel decisions, we have to be careful about respecting the privacy of those that we work with. There are some personnel matters and personal concerns in each of these situations that we just cannot discuss publicly. What I want to say is that each and every scholar is important and our number one concern. Their safety, their well-being, their education. Every decision that we make is in effort to serve them better. While your voice and concern is on our minds as we move forward in addressing personnel matters, and I thank you for your honest feelings and concerns that you've expressed this evening, I have full confidence, no matter what the outcome, that we will address this together. And I know that, again, it's uncomfortable and sometimes unsettling, and there's not a attempt to not share information, yet there's also, we're held by certain things that we're not able to share publicly about people's personnel matters. And so there are certain things that we can certainly share, but we always want to be in a place of respecting people in their personal journey. And I recognize some things have been more public than others, but we still want to treat people with dignity and respect.
Thank you. And then we'll go to our board comments. We'll start with our student rep, Mr. Calderon.
This is my first meeting, so it is very impressive seeing the community we have in GRPS, all the parents who I believe would share very similar thoughts as my parents, as people who have been GRPS since my brother entered since, I believe, 2010. I personally have had principals who've gone and coaches who we've lost through the systems, and it is very hard hitting. These individuals are people who can change students' lives and attitudes in moments even. I personally, as a student, do not know the reasons they were let go or the reasons they are just not with us anymore, so I cannot comment on any of that. But I can say I understand that change is scary, and especially for students who are younger. But in moments like that, there are definitely people who can step up into such positions and can maybe not do as good as a job, but can suffice to give a comfortable and cozy environment for the students who need such a role for them to have.
Thank you. And then we'll go to this side. Ms. Milton.
No comment tonight.
Ms. Wade.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really proud to see all the young men come out and support their coach. I do understand how important sports are to our young people, and I do enjoy watching them advocate for something that they are feel passionate about. Thank you for all our parents that's coming out and advocating for their children and for deemed transportation for the reports. I'm looking forward to October 4th as well. I think that's it.
Alrighty. Ms. Shockey.
No comment this evening.
Ms. Davis.
No comment.
Mr. Rodriguez.
I would like to echo what Trustee Wade has said. When I worked in GRPS, I would always, try to teach our students to advocate for themselves and for their needs, and to see students advocate for someone, that they look up to is amazing, and I will always encourage that. Also, I'd like to just thank everyone that has stuck with us tonight. If I wasn't on the school board, I don't know if I'd be here for 3 hours, but thank you all. I see your dedication, I see your passion, and again, your advocacy as well. And I appreciate that, and I take that all in, and continue to fight for the things that you want to see in our district and to better it together.
Mr. Eatman.
Excuse me. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and sticking with us through this time. It is late, so I'll be brief. This is community at large, right? And so having community come and express and be able to talk about that, that's community in action, and that has to look a certain way and feel a certain way. So to see people in the community coming out and also how we're responding to that, this is not falling on mute or deaf ears. We definitely go hand in hand and make sure that we are hearing what you guys are coming back to us. But I want you to know that that's important for us to have you all come out and talk about it. We need to know the things that's happening in our district, so that way we can support. And so I just appreciate you all coming out and expressing what you did express today, and continue to be an advocate for the district, please. Thank you.
Ms. Downs-Lewis?
No comment.
Mr. Ross?
No, I just want to welcome Efren. Am I saying that name correctly, sir? Efren, right, yeah, thank you. You've already been impressive with your thoughtfulness, your critical thinking, your communication. I look forward to getting to know you better.
Thank you.
And I will just thank everyone for coming out. We appreciate your time. And we will be going into a closed session, so we will be clearing the room. Thank you all for being here with us. And if you would like to stay to adjournment, we will have an opportunity for you to come back in when we come out of closed session.
I had my dad waiting in the parking lot for an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh, no.
I hope it's not too bad.